All right, very good evening, everybody, from the flight deck once again. If it could be called much of a flight deck this evening, but welcome aboard, everybody, for another episode of Captain Nab's live streaming on Twitch. This time we are back and doing our bush trip. So for those of you that didn't join me last week, we're flying the Patagonia Bush Trip right now. So we got about the first 4 legs done, I think, last night. And actually, if we look up there in the corner there, yeah, you can actually see 1, 2, 3, 4 check marks. So we are on leg number 5 today. This one's a bit of a long leg, 87 miles. This is actually the longest leg we've done so far. Yeah, we're going to try and get a bunch of legs done tonight and see if I can get about a third of this trip done. So I'm hoping to do the next 4 legs. Maybe might have to cut it after 3. We'll see how time's going. Just wanted to get back into this. I know I've done a lot of pilot life stuff lately, and it's been a lot of fun, but I just wanted to get back into doing some bush trips as well, having a little bit of fun, just low and slow. Airline flying is all well and good. It's fun, and I do like it, but there's just something nice about getting down and dirty with an airplane that's really just like low to the ground, really basic, just trying to get the basic stuff done. And best of all, this airplane, it's a it's a very forgiving airplane. It's also a pretty basic, simple airplane, so we can focus mostly on the navigation, which is the real challenge and joy of the bush trips, is trying to navigate from place to place, from point A to point B. So today's leg number 5, we're going to start with, is going to go from Azapardo Airport to Almirante Schroeders, and then I'm not sure if we can even select the ones after that. Yeah, so we should be able to definitely do leg 6 goes on to Marco Davison Bascura Airport, and then leg number 7 goes on to Teniente Julio Gallardo. I'm not sure how to say it exactly. I don't have any kind of Spanish heritage, so I'm doing my best, and if I'm wrong, I apologize in advance to anybody who is familiar with these places and takes offense. I've never been to any of these places myself, so I've never heard how to say them. I've just read the names off the screen, so that's the best I know at this point. And I haven't done any cheating. I haven't looked anything up ahead of time. I really like to jump into these kind of, with both feet without any kind of prep work. So let's hop on here. Let's get in this airplane and let's get going here, and let's hope that it works today. We had a couple of issues with our last live stream. It wasn't terrible, but there was a couple of minor little issues that did occur. The first was that the sim crashed right as we started to try to do the first leg, and then of course the second was that, of course, apparently I can't fly. Not that I can't fly, but I did have some issues with nosing over a couple of times on the subsequent on the landings of the last leg here. So this airport here, GSX, you're not going to find anything there. And what's actually funny is I actually looked it up, so I was kind of a little bit curious. I Google mapped this because this is actually like a listed registered airport. It is not just a grass strip. There's actually a paved runway here. I looked it up on Google Earth. I looked at the satellite view on Google Earth, and there's actually a paved runway here. So why there's nothing here? I mean, this is it's just this basic, I guess. The scenery is the land data that's loaded. It's not very accurate, anyways. Which is funny because almost all airports otherwise are pretty well processed. So why am I not hearing anything? It is there. It's just very, very quiet in the background. Okay. I couldn't hear anything, but I guess it's there in the background, so I'm just going to turn it up just a hair. And you guys ready to go on this trip? I see a bunch of you guys watching, so thank you guys so much for joining me. And I'm just going to try and see if I can get a few things. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I know what I didn't do. I didn't actually change my control system here. Silly me. But I was flying the Airbus earlier today. I think it's faster if I go this way. Yes, piston single. There we go. Let me just do a quick control check and make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. All right. That all looks pretty good now. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't even realize. And then the other thing, too, is that I'm not sure if I can change it, but it was clear skies when I did the first leg here. It's funny that it's overcast now, but that's okay. It just makes it a little bit dark and dim in here. It's not terrible, but it's a little bit dark and dim, so I think maybe I might try and... the other thing I think I tried to do last time, actually, was I just tried to turn the lights on in here. Oh, that's what I did. Alright, thank you very much for soliciting me while I'm trying to live stream. I appreciate that so much. And so park and brake, I believe, was down here. And if I do that, it should take the parking brake off. There we go. And away we go. We got, let's just check. We've got flaps at 1 notch. And I think we're just about ready to go. So let's just pull up the nav log, see what we're doing right after departure here. So we take off Punta Moro. Once in the air, head west, which is basically where we're pointed right now, and make your way along the southern shoreline ahead of you. When the shoreline ends, make your way across the water to the rocky outcropping on opposite shoreline, Punta Moro. All right, so I just want to zoom this way in because I hate seeing. What I can actually do is I could actually just even. There we go. Just move that over so I can't even see anything because I don't want hints. Now that might be a little bit noisy, so I'm just going to turn the volume down just a little bit on that. There we go. Trying to keep it straight here. Trying not to hit the trees. Try and get it up in the air, and away we go. This was the airfield, though, that did really kind of almost, well, it did try to kill me a couple times on the last leg. So this little tiny dirt strip here, I had to do 3 landing attempts on the last leg before I was able to finally, land successfully on that strip. So not my proudest hour. I'm not familiar with the X Cup. So this is the X Cup. This is the aircraft that is, I hate to use the word forced upon us, but it is basically forced upon us. Let's see here. The other thing I was wondering if I can do is I wonder if I can, there, turn off even that GPS source. Love it. All right. Speed's good. Let's get the flaps up and let's start pitching down for some forward speed, and let's also just get the timer started now that we're just about, it's a little bit late, but because we are at climb speed for a brief period of time as well, we wouldn't be quite at our cruise speed yet. So alright, so it's 10 miles, 4 minutes 39 seconds. So I'm just going to start to get the RPM back here a little bit. Let me know how the balance is, guys. If you think I'm the engine volume is too loud, please just let me know. I'm just trying to find like a happy medium as always. Does this go any brighter? Is this maximum brightness now? I think this is maximum brightness. Alright, we're aiming for about 2,500 RPM and 25 inches. 25 squared is where a lot of airplanes like to sort of hang out. A lot of the constant speed props like to hang out around there. So, alright, we were looking for about 1,500 feet was what I was kind of really targeting to try and make the most of this relatively low quality scenery. Actually, I was kind of almost surprised they wanted to do a bush trip through here. It's beautiful scenery in the real world, I'm sure, but boy, this kind of demonstrates the shortcomings in some areas of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Most of the world is looking really good with good real-life satellite imagery, but then you get a few areas where it's not quite cutting it. Alright, I'm going to try and just slowly drift down to about 1,500 feet AGL. I want to be down at about 1,500. I really want to kind of make the most of the low and slow experience. Try and be really right down there near the ground. So 1,500 I think is a very reasonable altitude. You don't want to be so far away that you can see things from a long way away. And part of the challenge is just it's being low, it's being slow, it's being down in it. So, alright, just recenter myself slightly here. Just doesn't want to even go down at all here. Go just a little bit off the engine there. Alright, so we're going to have to cross over once we reach Punta Moro. So I wonder if, so when the shoreline ends, and this is at 10 miles or 4.5 minutes, so I wonder if just that big outcropping up ahead is where it ends. Make your way along the southern shoreline. We are on the south side here. Yeah, we're heading basically west. We are on the southern shoreline. When the shoreline ends, yeah, and I wonder if right after that rocky outcropping up ahead, if it cuts away very far to the south, and so we have to, that's where we then cut across to the north. I don't see anything too prominent on the north at all, though. But we'll see. And then if we read ahead one step, sometimes that also helps. So once we do kind of reach that point where we think we have to cut over, we just continue along the northwest along the opposite shoreline, and the end of the mountainside. Make your way to the end of the shoreline again. So we're just looking for the shorelines to keep on ending. That one's also another 13 miles. So we want to go total over 20 miles, about 22 miles before we even reach the third point of interest here. But I did remove them all from my moving map, so there's no evidence on the GPS moving map of where we want to be here. This is really just me. I might just dial in just the altitude here, if I can. Yes, I can. Just to have a bug. So there's 1500, so I can just have the altitude bug there on the altimeter, so I can kind of keep an eye on it, but I'm not trying to really focus on it too much. I'm trying to do this mostly seat of the pants kind of thing, and this is one of the things that is challenging about flying a sim. Is it's very hard to fly the seat of your pants in the sim because your pants aren't moving. You can't feel any of the motion. You're doing it all purely just by what you see outside in front of you. So as much as that is kind of my goal most of the time, is to try and do it seat of the pants, there's an incredible amount of sensory feedback that comes through the motion of the aircraft that you just don't get in a simulator, and you can get these beautiful visuals, you can get all these fancy instruments in front of you, but you don't get that sense of motion. So even if your reaction to the motion is not always perfect, what the motion is oftentimes though is a trigger. So when you feel the airplane start to drop a little bit, you look at the altimeter and you say, oh yes, we did lose a little bit of altitude, or we did pitch down. Oh, if you feel some bank, you'll look out and see. So it's as much about just learning to trigger those reactions. All right, so let's just get a little bit of a climb going there again. All right, so we got our 25 inches squared. We got a little bit of a climb going there. And again, like I said, let me know if you think the background noise is too loud, if I'm drowning myself out here. All right, so this is about 4 minutes and 59 seconds. I don't think that was 10 miles. Really? I feel like that's not 10 miles. Now, I did start it late, actually, but I feel like, okay, maybe it was supposed to be that shoreline end there, and maybe we're supposed to cross over at that bay. So, I mean, the shoreline did make a pretty substantial end there behind us, so maybe that was where we were supposed to cross over. Head across the water to the rocky outcropping on the opposite shoreline, Punta Moro. Maybe it's this here. Okay, so let's have a little look-see. Because eventually the shoreline ends again up here. So maybe that was it. Maybe this is Punta Moro over here. Otherwise, it's nothing very exciting over here. It's very... that could well have been. Does that really look like 9 miles? I don't know if that looks like 9 miles to me, but it's nothing to give it any sense of scale out here. These mountains just go on forever too. So maybe that was what we were supposed to do, go across the shoreline here, make our way along the northwestern shoreline. All right, so I'm going to restart my timer and turn northwest. Fly west across the water to the opposite shoreline again. So we have to fly along this side of the shoreline until it ends, and then back across the water again. And I really kind of wish we were in a float plane for this, because if we were to lose the engine at any point on this bush trip, we would be in serious trouble. This is the kind of terrain where you would want to have a float plane, because you could put it down almost anywhere. And engine failure is almost a non-event in a float plane, because you just put it down in the water, you land, and then you sort it out afterwards. Hopefully you still have some electricity to still make a mayday call. Probably should make sure we have lights on for this. There we go, lights are mostly on now. Alright, so we're supposed to go northwest for another 6 minutes and 19 seconds, which would take us 13 miles to when the shoreline ends, so that could be right over here. Fly west across the water to the opposite shoreline. There's certainly not much to look at. We just keep following the shorelines. Oh, there's a good chance we're going to get lost on this one. And for those of you that didn't watch episode 1, we did get lost. We did get lost once. It was not terrible. It wasn't fantastic. I did figure it out eventually. I did circle around a little bit. I looked around a couple times, and one thing's for sure, we do have quite a bit of gas in this airplane here. I'm not even sure which tank we're running on here. Let's see. We're running on the... Looks like we're running on the left tank right now. And it looks like that tank was pretty much filled to capacity, so I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. Alright, so there is kind of a break up here. I wonder if that's the end of the shoreline they're talking about. That could be 13 miles. I got no sense of scale here. I've got no sense of scale whatsoever. And, I mean, you know, follow the shoreline to the mountain. Follow the mountain to the next shoreline. Follow the shoreline to the next mountain. Wow, talk about vague directions. And this is a long flight too. This is 87 miles that we've got to do to get to this next airport. I just hope we don't misplace at least one direction along the way and become completely lost. But it just seems like we keep on following this shoreline. Follow north shoreline. Island, 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 island. River bridge. Alright, little bits at a time. 5 to 10 miles at a time. And I said this on the last one too, and this is one of the things I find mildly infuriating about these bush trips, is just the fact that you don't know what speed they were planned at. So you're making these times, you know, but I guess you could figure it out, couldn't you? If I had my E6B handy, we could work this backwards here. Let's see here, 6 minutes is 1/10 of an hour. So really it's planned at 130 knot ground speed. 120 to 130 knot ground speed, so even faster than we're taking her right now. So maybe I'll bump it up a little bit here and see if I can target 120 knots. That should at least make the timing a little bit more realistic here. Because it's somewhere between, yeah, because 6 minutes is a 1/10 of an hour, so yeah, if anything, we're probably almost closer to 125 knots is kind of the target speed, which seems quite fast for a Cub, but I'm not even. I turned off my, just trying to trim it here just ever so gently, so I turned off my motion tracking for a second here, just to kind of get that trim in place there. There we go. Still very basic land classes, though, still very basic terrain mapping out here. There's nothing particularly precise about it, but again, I think it comes down to what data could Microsoft get their hands on. We in certain parts of the world, we take for granted the quality of the data that's available to us about the land around us, you know, the Google Maps data and even government-based data. But you go to some very remote areas of the world, some areas have not been accurately surveyed ever, or, you know, certainly not to the degree of accuracy and precision we expect. So it's kind of funny when you look at some of these land classes and you see that they're just a little bit, they look wonky, and you know, at the end of the day, I can only imagine what it was like for Microsoft, you know, sort of searching for data for some of these harder to reach places, you know, in the beginning. In the beginning it was probably not too bad, but you know, I wonder, because like timing wise, like this, so once in the air, head west, make your way along the southern shoreline. When the shoreline ends, make your way across the water to the rocky outcrop. Oh, again, the way it's written is terrible. So this was Punta Moro. Continue northwest along the shoreline and the mountainside. Make your way to the end of the shoreline, right here. Fly west across to the opposite shoreline. So it didn't mean fly across the water this way. It meant fly, just keep flying straight across the inlet. Oh, that's what it meant. So I was gonna say there isn't even like an inlet. Like this inlet here is nearly perfectly timed, and it's quite wide. 5 miles to get across the opposite shoreline. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. It's about 5 miles. That's what that was. So there's the 613. Yeah, that makes sense now. So let's start that again, and that should get us about 2 minutes and 30. I'll just kind of cut straight across the middle here, but to get to the opposite shoreline here, and then follow the shoreline to its northernmost point, Punta Latitude. Punta Latitude. And that'll be another 5 miles. Once I kind of get parallel to the shoreline, I'll see how it kind of looks. That's what I meant. Okay, see, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's kind of easy to get lost. Some of these descriptions can sometimes be somewhat vague, and maybe I read almost more into them than they're trying to say. It pays to reevaluate yourself as a pilot all the time. To question, did I make the right choice before? And I'm not saying you have to always second guess yourself, but always be willing to reevaluate your position based on new information. So as you start to see new things, I mean, there is kind of a little bit of a break here, but I wouldn't say there's like an end in the shoreline. This is what they mean by an end in the shoreline, is it takes a big 9-degree turn off to the left there. And yeah, it's taken us about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to get across this. Yeah, that's what it meant. So then we just continue following this southern shoreline to its northernmost point, Punta latitude, continue northwest across the water and past the mountainous island sitting in the channel. Up ahead, make your way over the shoreline beyond, make your way northwest of the shoreline on the opposite shore. All right, I think we're back on track. It took me a grand total of like 5 minutes to get lost on this bush trip, but that's okay. We're back in it now. Alright, so we crossed the water. It took just about 2 minutes, maybe a little tiny bit less, maybe. There's some snowy peaks down there to the south. That's kind of where we saw the glacier was kind of coming off some of those snowy peaks there at the middle of the last live stream. Alright, so we've crossed the water. Let's reset this first and then restart it. So Punta Latituda is the northernmost point, 5.78 miles, 2 minutes and 45 seconds further in here. And I think what'll happen is once we kind of roll out level on a heading west, it'll become pretty obvious that this appears to be the northernmost point right here. So I'm just going to bring us right to an almost perfectly westerly heading just to sort of let us really accurately evaluate this. But so there's overshot it by 1 degree. But yes, that must be Punta latitude. And then we got to cross the water again to get to the far shoreline. Alright, so I mucked it up a little bit, but I definitely figured it out. Boy, this is opening up to a very, very wide channel here. Even just getting across there was probably 5 miles, and it just seems like it's opening up more and more and more. See some waves breaking on there as we fly along the shoreline, but there really is not much detail down there. Probably should avoid hitting the actual hills. I don't know where the wind is coming from, but we're going to try and keep it a little bit away from the hills. There we go. Alright, so after that, again, continue northwest across the water and past the mountainous islands in the channel up ahead. Make your way over the shoreline beyond. Make your way northwest to the shoreline on the opposite shore. Make your way over. Alright. Far shoreline. They like the word shoreline in this in this bush trip. Seem to use that word a lot. Alright, if the fuel gets down to about 20 gallons, we'll switch tanks. That'll probably give us enough of an asymmetry that we should be switching tanks. So unless this is Punta Latitude, which is possible, and then this could be the rocky island itself, let's just come around this little outcropping here and see what it looks like. Let's just have a quick little look-see. Trying my best not to get lost when other people are watching. Oh, I guess this is the northernmost point right here, and then that is the rocky island. Alright, or the mountainous island, if you will. She just wants to climb now. I didn't even touch the power setting at all, and she just seems to be stuck in a climb. But that's okay. Alright. So yeah, I would say that this is probably Punta Latitude here. So we'll pause this, reset it, and start again. Far shoreline, 8 miles, just a hair under 4 minutes. I wonder if it's just the terrain that's doing it here, that I'm actually getting some outflow from that terrain. Past the mountainous island, sitting in the channel up ahead, make your way over to the shoreline beyond, make your way northwest to the shoreline on the opposite shore. Thanks. He really likes the word shore, whoever wrote this. Head west across the water to the shoreline opposite Isla Dawson. So now we're going to see a bunch of islands here, so we got to kind of keep our wits about us here. Water's definitely opening up. I think we're just judging by these distances too. It's got to be at least 6 miles across there, so I don't think we're actually crossing this. So crossing over this, make your way northwest to the shoreline on the opposite shore. I feel like now we're almost making this too quickly here. Like, this far shoreline is supposed to be 4 minutes, 8 miles. And I feel like we're covering it almost too quickly. Maybe not. We've burned about 2 minutes. Yeah, maybe the 4th minute will take us to, yeah. Is there actually a roadway along there? No, we are in some very desolate backcountry too. I haven't seen signs of life since, well, the airport had a little bit of sign of life, but that was about it. There's a little roadway there, a little sign of life, but now there's nothing out here. We are just on our own out here in the wilderness. Head across the water to the shoreline opposite Isla Dawson. I think Isla Dawson, by the sounds of it, is very big because it keeps on talking about Isla Dawson, lagoon, everything. So it talks about a lot of stuff here. So far shoreline. All right, so continue northwest, head west across the water to the shoreline opposite. So we are still, so this is probably Isla Dawson right here. I can kind of see that the water curves around the edge of it there. The water maybe takes a curve around the edge of it here somewhere. So this, probably this whole big mountainous island up ahead that's 5 or 10 miles across there is probably Isla Dawson. That's probably where we're going. Let's check it out. There's little scars on the landscape, but I don't think any of them are man-made. I feel like these are mostly probably just like rock slides and things like that at this point. So yeah, we do 4 minutes basically this corner, and then another 3 minutes across the island over there. Losing altitude a little bit. Let's get a little bit more. Talk about a basic electrical system. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 circuit breakers. That's it. Alright, then skirt your way around the shoreline to the northwest. The island's sitting just off the coast of the bay, so this might be Isla Wickham. Again, the trouble, I think that this is all saltwater. I believe these are all inlets in southern Chile. So these islands could be huge. They could be hundreds of miles across. It could be a couple miles wide, but it could be 100 miles long. So it feels like we're going to I think we're going to go out to this island, but then we're going to hook back around back to Dawson, or even all of this. Everything on this west side here could even be part of one island here. Be interesting to see. Let's give just a little bit more up trim there, because it just seems to be drifting down very slightly, but we never did reset the timer there, so we'll just keep it going for now. We should get a total of about let's see here, this is for about 6.5 minutes should take us to Isla Dawson, and then so we're heading north heading west across the water. We're pretty much bang on west here. Bang on west. Skirt your way around the shoreline to the northwest. So we're going to make a right turn and go keep the island off our left side. Make your way to a small island sitting just off the coast of the bay in the distance. Keep going past the other island in the near distance and to the shoreline further beyond. Ela Wickham. Alright, so now we're going to start making a bit more of a turn. So yeah, 6.5 minutes to make it to this island. Yeah, this has got to be Ela Dawson. And I think they just want us to cross all this water and go over here. So again, that is about 6 minutes. 6.5 minutes, give or take. I'd say that's pretty reasonably accurate. And I'd say this all kind of is adding up at this point. So skirt your way around the shoreline to the northwest. Make your way to a small island sitting just off the coast of the bay in the distance. I just keep on losing more and more altitude here. I gotta really trim it up a little bit here. Keep going past the other island in the near distance. So first island here. Second island, and then beyond that, this must be Ela Wickham here. And then head north once more and hook your way around the large mountain in the distance before making your way to the north of Ela Wickham before flying northwest across the water. Then, okay, so this is all Ela Dawson, and it hooks around behind Ela Wickham. So this is Ela Wickham up here. Okay, we're doing it. We're getting there. I'm making some sense of it. Lost 300 feet, and I'm just constantly doing this. Alright, so to get across this water should be about 3 minutes and 13 seconds if I maintain my speed, which I'm losing a little bit of speed because I'm trying to trade it for altitude again here. But only a slight amount, 5 to 10 knots, so it should be very much within reason. How are we doing there? Not quite down to 20 gallons yet, but when we get down to 20 gallons, we will switch to the other tank. Instead of using the scroll wheel, I will just click the appropriate pointer because I don't want the engine to fail. Get it to within, see if we can get it to within 50 feet of my target altitude here. And it wants to head north, so it just right around, hook around a large mountain that is for making your way to the north of Ela Wickham, or flying northwest across the water again. Alright. I imagine when the guys were designing this bush trip, beautiful scenery. I always struggle with these VFR trips. He's even mastering it. You know, and I was kind of, I won't say teasing, but I was kind of criticizing. I will say this. I was criticizing the guy or girl, the person who wrote this bush trip. There's really not much to see out here. So I was criticizing him for, well, cross the shoreline and follow the next shoreline until you get to another shoreline beside a mountain. And it's like, well, everything's a shoreline beside a mountain out here. But at the end of the day, there is very little in the way of actual landmarks to use. So I guess the person who created this trip probably did the best they could. In all honesty, I probably should not be overcritical because there's not much else to see. There's no towns. There's no other real landmarks. It's just like there's an island, there's a bay, there's a shoreline. All right, there we go. We finally got it level again. Just kind of drifted down from 1500 to 1200. I'm like, that's enough. All right, so I believe we've got this right, though. It's kind of nice, though. It is kind of satisfying when it all adds up. When you've done it for long enough, that it all sort of adds up again. All right. So just as we kind of pass and beat the start of the island here, we'll reset the timer for another 7.66 miles. So, okay, so yeah, we've done that part. So we're passing number 7 right about now, we're going to say. And then Ela Dawson, head north once more, hook your way around the large mountain in the distance before making your way to the north of Ela Wickham before flying northwest across the water. The shoreline beyond once again belongs to Ela Dawson. So Ela Dawson is behind us here, but I guess it hooks all the way around this island. And we'll pop out around the other side of this island. We'll catch back up to it again. Alright, they're not the easiest things to master, but that I think is the joy. You know, you get more satisfaction when something's hard, right? Like if it's too easy, then there's no joy in it. It's the mastery of something challenging. You know, I think about my brother's really kind of interested in kind of mastering flying the Airbus, and there's a lot of joy in that. You know, I think about myself, like I really enjoy the fact that I can sit down on the 737 flight deck and I can get the thing up and running. I can program a flight. We can set up all the systems, run it all myself if I have to. It obviously is much more effective as a 2-crew airplane that I can sit in the 37 do myself. And there's just something so satisfying about the fact that I can do that myself that I've learned that. So yeah, absolutely mastering these things is a joy in and of itself. And I have not taken enough time to do these, and I don't think I would take the time to do this if I wasn't, I don't know, if I didn't have a reason to do it. Live streaming gives me kind of a purpose behind doing some of these things to kind of share with you guys. And if you disagree with me, like I appreciate any feedback as we're navigating here. If you think I'm making a wrong turn, I'm spouting it all as I see it, as I perform it. So is it gonna be perfect every time? Probably not. I have made mistakes. I did make a mistake back there. I did make a mistake in the last trip, and that's part of the joy of trying to learn from it. All right, so we're gonna hook around this mountain, northwest across the water, 7.6. Follow the shoreline, you should see in the distance a bay by a hilly outcropping. Make your way to the bay. Fantastic, guys. super vague. Okay, but it looks like I come around this mountain and I think I see the water already kind of coming around here. So I feel like this mountain, the Hilo Wickham ends pretty quickly here. See, now I trimmed it for the nose up to climb, and then I just kept it climbing the whole time. I didn't trim down enough. But yeah, so yeah, here's the water again. So we're gonna go across the water, re-intercept Isla Dawson, and you can kind of see it's just all the way linked around here. There's 2 ways to see this part of the world, though. It's either by air or by boat. There's no other way to get in here. I haven't seen a road now in 50 miles. There was actually a road beside that airport we originally took off from, which was way back down at the start of that inlet there. But since we left that point, I don't think I've seen evidence of a road. I haven't seen any evidence of human development now since we left that point. All right. So we got the shoreline once again. As you follow the shoreline, you should see in the distance a bay by a hilly outcropping. That might be it there. So Bahia Fox. I'm guessing Bahia is the Spanish word for bay. Everything down here, since we are in Argentina, I believe, right? Or is it Chile? I'm sorry. No, it's Chile, isn't it? Is it Chile? Or Argentina that goes all the way up? Now my horrible sense of geography is catching up to me. I honestly don't know. I know Argentina is kind of the east half of the southern part of South America, and Chile is kind of the western half. I'm not sure which of them actually extends to the tip, if we're in Chile or if we're actually in Argentina. Okay, anyway, so we're back on the shoreline again. So let's reset the timer, start it again here. So Bahia Fox, 9.18 miles, 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And I feel like this is it already. Like, they've kind of described it here. So you can see in the distance a bay by a hilly outcropping. So I'm not sure if this is the bay or if the bay is behind the hilly outcropping. Alright, but we're actually getting to a point where we're going to see another road. Oh my god, we're going to see a road and we're going to see an airport. In about another 20 miles or so, we'll actually get to the next airport. And then I think the next leg was going to be a really long one, but this one even just really seemed to get me lost right off the bat. I misread the instructions. Alright, we're doing okay. How are we doing here, fuel-wise? Just about down to 20 gallons. So let's go ahead and give it a quick turn to the right. And now we're going to burn fuel out of the right tank and try and even out our fuel burn here. 22 seconds. I wonder if this is Bahia Fox, just behind the hilly outcropping. As you follow the shoreline, you should see in the distance a bay by a hilly outcropping. So in the distance, yes. So I think that's it, or maybe even that one's it. Just a little distance inland from here, northeast of the bay, is a road running north. The road will take you north past another bay, this time that of a lagoon with a small circular island at the center. That's going to be a pretty good landmark. Okay, good. Good. Following the road north, eventually the road crosses past a river running east of the shoreline. Continue to follow the road, it will lead you to your next airport. This one is... I don't even see an airport. This is a picture of, it's just a picture of some grass. That is not an airport. There's no airport there. Alright, but just even to kind of get your bearings on this picture here, it looks like the picture is kind of coming at it from the opposite directions because the shoreline's on the other side here. So... we might be following the road here kind of past the bay because this kind of looks like it kind of matches up here. This might be the hilly outcropping. This might be, it's either this bay right here on the picture is either this bay right here or maybe the one beyond it, but we're definitely in the right position, but it's right along the shoreline, so we really can't miss it if we're flying along the shoreline. So let's go back up to where we are here, which is first of all Isla Dawson, Bahia Fox. 4 minutes and 22 seconds, so about another minute or so, Bahia Fox. So I think this is Bahia Fox. And then just a little distance inland from here, northeast of the bay. And see, I find it hard to believe northeast of the bay, because I wonder if they meant northwest. And I hesitate to second guess someone, but there's nothing to the northeast except for water, really. Unless it's on the hilly outcropping or something, which is possible. We'll stick to the shoreline. We'll kind of fly across the hilly outcropping here and see what happens. The other possibility, and again, I always have to allow myself a chance to second guess myself, is what if they want us to go to this bay? Bay by hilly outcropping, but I buy this as the hilly outcropping. I really do. That's what they're talking about here. And this is putting us right at 4 minutes and 22 seconds. So the only question really is Bahia Fox this side or the other side? And I think it's this side. I'm going to say probably on the far side is Bahia Fox, but we'll start looking for a road anyways as we head kind of a little bit inland here. But northeast, there's nothing. Like, we're not even facing north, so northeast is this way. So I feel like that might be an error. That might be meant to be northwest. See a river. Very meandering, winding river. I don't really see a road yet. I don't see any roads at all. Okay, so I'm gonna reset the clock here. Just a little inland from here north. A lagoon with a tiny island at the center. A small circular island at the center. Could be this right here. This kind of has a lagoony look to it over here. And that island is kind of very close to being in the center. There is something just a little beyond it there. No, our airport's still another 10 to 12 miles past this. Alright, we're looking for a road now. Oh, is that a road? Or is that just the river again? I think that's just the river. Never mind, that's just the river. Oh! But we did find a road. Alright. Okay. The road will take you north past another bay. This time, that of a lagoon with a small circular island in the center. That's gotta be lagoon there. 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Yeah, that's going to work out just right. Keep following the road north. Eventually the road crosses paths with a river running east of the shoreline. And then another couple miles beyond that, continue to follow the road. It will lead you to the next airport. Not much of an airport, but so it definitely wasn't as close as I thought it was, but there's some clear, vacant-looking ground up ahead there. The airport could definitely be in that general area. Yeah, see, this is a nice little lagoon with a circular island at the center. The road running north right past it. I don't know if the road really does continue. Maybe the road does continue south a little bit past that little settlement there, but I don't know how much farther it goes. There definitely wasn't too much. I didn't see any bridges crossing that river there, that winding, meandering river. So, anyways. All right, here is the lagoon. Isla Dawson Lagoon. Excellent. It's not exactly a super highway, but it's definitely a sign of civilization again. All right, I definitely think we're on the right track. It took us a little while. It took me a little while to convince myself I was on the right track. All right. So the road kind of winds along the shore there, so I might cut just a little close to the shore, but I'd kind of like to be a little bit just inside just so I can see the road. We're looking for a river after 7 miles beyond the lagoon. 7 miles, 3.5 minutes beyond the lagoon. So keep an eye out for a decent looking river with the road's going to go across. How are we doing? Okay, yeah, we got just a little bit of altitude, so just trim it downwards just a little bit again. All right, I was beginning to think for a little while there, it was just like the description was so vague. I was becoming very frustrated, but what else is there to look at? I mean, when there is a road, they talk about it. They're like, yeah, look at the road, because there's only one road. Follow that road. And that's great. It just took a little while to get to the point where there was a road. Oh, we're still climbing. Spent too much time looking out the window trying to figure out where we are. But it's all in good fun. It really is. Alright, so this is all still part of Isla Dawson. Yeah, see, the water kind of curls around. I think Isla Dawson ends up here. It's starting to look like we're reaching the end of this island here. I wonder if there's a town up at the end here. Alright. So 3.5 minutes to make it to a river bridge. Cross paths with a river running east to the shoreline. Yeah, well, it doesn't have to go very far from where the road is, because the road really hugs the shoreline here. Still not much in here now. I wonder if this is, again, I wonder if some of this stuff is natural. I wonder if there's perhaps some logging going on down here. The scenery is definitely not detailed enough to be able to tell if that's just like, it could just be swampland too. It could just be like low, marshland in and among the rocky areas and among the rocky hills, or it could be a result of logging. You can't really tell. But definitely we're coming up to this. All right, so let's see here. Let's reverse this again here. I don't even see the airport like at all, like in this picture here. Is that the runway? Is this the runway? Like, I don't even know what it is we're trying to find here. Now I see what looks like maybe a river cutting across the landscape right there, and then just beyond that is the airport. I think we're going to have to fly over the airport to figure out where it is though. Alright, but I think I know we're on the right track. We hit the road. We hit the road, we're pretty much heading almost due north. Not quite, but very close to it. We're definitely on the right track. I gotta convince myself. I gotta tell myself we're on the right track. Otherwise, I don't know if I believe it. How long did it say to get to this? We're for 3 minutes and 27 seconds, so we should be coming out to it soon here. I think it's there, but let's have a little look. You know what I might do is I might fly offshore, because it might be easier to identify it if we're offshore rather than trying to or this might be it right here. If we're looking back at the shoreline, it might be easier. Aha! I think I see the river bridge we're talking about here. It's not much, but it's there. Looks like a couple of roads kind of lead inwards a little bit. Looks like the road was probably realigned at some point. Alright, so is this the airport here? Like, I honestly don't even know. Continue to follow the road, it will lead you to the next airport. Great. Where? Alright, so here's the road. There's a cute little road that kind of goes into the bush there. I wouldn't want to follow that one. So it's 4 miles, 2 minutes. So it's not going to be at the end of this. It's going to be up here somewhere. So we'll follow this road. It's going to lead us through here. I'm even turning around. I see the lakes. So this lake, somewhere here is the airport, but you have to actually land on it, and I can't even see it. Like, I can't even see it in this image. That's what's blowing my mind. It's like, there's nothing in this that looks even slightly like a runway. Is this? My mind is just blown by this. It is really, nothing here looks like an airport. But let's do the timing here. So it should be just about 2 minutes. It could be this green patch right here. It could be this right here. Is it this? It's this, isn't it? Maybe it's this right here. That's the run. I don't know. I can't tell from this picture where the runway is, but this has got to be it. That's got to be it. All right. That's the runway right there. I don't even know where it is from the picture, but that's the runway. All right, we just got to lose some altitude now. All right. Almirante Schroeder's Airport. Almirante Schroeder's Airport is actually an airport. It's actually paved. The last airport was supposed to be paved according to Google Maps, but it was nothing more than a brown strip on the scenery. Alright, we found it though. The road did lead us right there. For some reason, the picture that they took doesn't look anything like an airport though. There's even 2 runways here. Holy moly. This is quite the little airport here. Alright, we're coming in very high here, so we'll just get full flaps right now. We got the thrusted idle. We got a long runway for an X-Cup. So it's fine if we burn up a little bit of extra runway here. I could do a side slip, but I don't think it's even going to matter that much. We have tons of runway for an X-Cup. We'll circle back to the threshold of the runway and stop her. This way we also get over the trees right here at the shoreline too. This looks like the kind of place you got to make sure there's no cars driving across the runway as you're getting ready to land too. Alright, don't nose over, don't nose over, don't nose over. Well, that was horrible. But we didn't flip the airplane, and that's the important part. We did not flip the airplane. Whoa, whoa. Oh, I stopped. Oh, too late. I didn't mean to stop there. But we made it. Didn't mean to quite stop there. But that's okay. All right, we got her done. Leg number 1 for today. I believe it's leg number 5 on the whole trip. So let's just continue with it. Aircraft has been refueled. All right, let's go back to the threshold of the runway now. My aircraft has been refueled, and let's do this again. All right, leg number 1's good. This is a long one. This is 30 minutes to 64 miles. And I think the next one is the 87-mile leg. So we'll try to do these 3 legs, and then we'll look at what the time is and how I'm feeling, and we may or may not pull the plug at that point. Feeling okay right now. I have been, it was not the best weekend. I unfortunately had a bout of food poisoning on the weekend, and then completely just knocked me out on Sunday altogether. And I'm the kind of person, like, I feel like I need to do something every day. I need to kind of get something done, feel like I've done something every single day. And yeah, that was not the case on Sunday. I didn't do anything but lie in bed, kind of feel sorry for myself. And it's just very disconcerting for me. I'm not that kind of person. I have a very hard time doing that. So just having gotten lost and wasted a whole day was a little disappointing. But at least I'm over it now. I'm feeling a lot better. Oh, that was not pretty. This thing turns sharper than I realize. All right. All right, are we ready for leg 2? All right, so let's just quickly... Don't stomp the brakes too hard. All right, so carb heat back in. All right, flaps are reset for takeoff. Full mixture, full prop. Head southwest from the airport down the western shoreline. You should soon see a lake in between 2 hills near the shoreline. Head past it. Waypoint number 1 is lake. Alright, and that's 2 minutes 52 seconds. So let's just get airborne and then we'll start counting. It's all squirrely, just get her off the ground. She wants to climb. She wants to get airborne. You know, I meant to look and I didn't actually look. Are there any good XCub checklists out there on flights.to or anywhere? I kind of meant to have a look and I totally spaced on it. There's always a lot going on in my life. I try to set aside time for streaming, but I don't have much time. I'm thinking about streams outside of actual stream time. Alright, so there's a climb power setting. Let's go ahead and start the timer. 6 miles, 3 minutes, southwest along the shoreline. Certainly is a beautiful place for an airport. Doesn't look like there's much around here besides the airport, though. I'm kind of expecting to see maybe a little village at the end of this island or something that kind of indicated why that airport was here, because there's like that logging camp where we first ran into the road, but it's like 25 miles from the logging camp to the airport. It seemed like one of those, like, shouldn't you build the airport a little closer to the logging camp if that's its purpose? I mean, I don't know if that was its purpose, but that's sort of... Oh, and there's 1,500 already. Sitting here yakking away. Alright, so follow the shoreline southwest. Should soon see a lake between 2 hills near the shoreline. Fly past it. Well, thank you. There is, again, at least a road here, too. Little tiny meandering thing, but it's there. A lot more nose down trim if I'm going to keep this thing level where it's supposed to be here. I love having this trim wheel on the honeycomb, though. It just feels so much more natural. Electric trim is good to a degree, but I just love the idea of spinning a trim wheel. It's such a more natural feeling, although it lacks that force feedback. Like I can kind of trim it downwards, but like I still feel, you know, the same amount of resistance on the control column. It's not like the control column is varying as I'm changing the aerodynamic loading on it. Oh, a force feedback control column would be a wonderful thing too, but I feel like that's not going to happen either. All right. A lake in between 2 hills near the shoreline. Could be this lake right here. And the Gila Dawson Western Shore. Yeah, I think this is what we're aiming for here. So I think this is the lake right here. Ooh, and now we're going way down. Now I've been trimming downwards while I've been looking out the window. That's not going to do me much good. Alright, I really need to get this airplane trimmed out in order for this to work. But yeah, okay, I'll buy that's a lake between 2 hills and 2 minutes and 52 seconds in. Yeah, that's about right. There is a little tiny dirt strip that cuts along here as well, too. There is some signs of civilization out here. And then 3.69 miles to the Gila Dawson Western Shore, that rocky outcropping there. Okay, perfect. So let's just restart this as we pass the lake, out to the outcropping here, and then I think we're going to go straight west. Fuerte Bulnes. Fuerte, isn't Fuerte fire? I think. Turn west. Ahead of you is the Strait of Magellan, the fast water networks around the majority of the nearby islands. Head directly across northwest to the outcropping opposite Puerto Bulnes. Okay, so we'll pick up a heading of west once we get over the outcropping and see where that puts us. Okay, well, I'm doing a pretty good job of maintaining altitude, but I'm just about 100 feet lower than I want to be. And yes, in reality, I should not be crossing a strait this wide at 1,500 feet. There's a general rule at a single-engine airplane that you should always be gliding distance from land unless you got floats underneath you or life jackets on board, because if the engine quits at any point in time, you should be able to glide back to the shoreline. For the sake of this adventure, I'm not going to adhere to that because I like the 1,500-foot challenge. And I'm obviously not actually risking anything here. So the Strait of Magellan. Can you imagine what Magellan must have thought when he came through here? When was that? That would have been 500 years ago? 500 years ago, probably? When he was exploring this land at the bottom of the world. This completely unexplored, undeveloped land at the bottom of the world. Even now, it's still relatively unexplored and undeveloped. And I do not mean that as a slight to any indigenous people, but I don't think there's even all that many indigenous people that live down here by the looks of it. I could be wrong. Every time I try to open my mouth to talk about geography here in this part of the world, I'm probably just sticking my foot in it because I don't know that much about this part of the world. Alright. Turn west. Ahead of you is the Strait of Magellan, the fast water network surrounding the map. Head directly across northwest to the outcropping opposite Fuerte Bulnes. 8 miles, 3 minutes and 51 seconds. We just left land behind. Let's start the timer. Alright, there's just a little too far from west. Just a little too far. Gaining altitude again ever so slightly. So Puerto Bulnes is probably this. Follow the shoreline north until you see a road. Follow the road. Oh, great. Well, great. We'll at least have some definite. Even if I hit the wrong point on the shoreline, as long as I turn north and find a road, we'll be okay. We'll make it. This strait, like, you can't even see across it. Like, there is a whole continent of South America north of here, but this strait down here is so wide you can't even see it in that direction at all. That's phenomenal. Oh, I would love to visit this part of the world. I would love to replicate this trip, but I'm not sure if I have the survival instincts to do it. So 8 miles, 3 minutes and 51 seconds till we get across, and then we turn north, follow the road. After we follow the road will take you past a river bridge next to a small roadside village. Continue on the road until you pass a river that's right by a crossroads, Discordia Bridge. So just continue following the road, north, north, north. So we just gotta go across here. We gotta find the road. So I'm not sure which of these is Fuerte Bulnes. If it's this, drifting slightly, it's this, or if it's this. I think it's this. But either way, we'll just follow the shoreline north. So that's a pretty easy instruction that's not going to get us in trouble. We got to follow it for quite a while to find a road. So that's a good instruction for me, at least. All right. Get rid of those. I can get rid of all the what's it called? I can't even remember what it's called right now, but the all the overlay here anyways. Just like a screenshot of just the airplane flying. Oh, so nice. Okay, anyhow, let's get back in here. Alright, so that's been also 3 minutes there. Yep. almost at the outcropping. Follow the shoreline north until you see a road. Follow the road. Alright, so it took us, supposed to take us 3 minutes 51 seconds to get across this strait, more or less. Yeah. Is there a road right along the beach right now? Oh. There's a road, I think, right here already. Or is there? Or is it just the shoreline? I feel like that's a road. Okay, so let's reset this. 3 minutes and 27 seconds north. Follow the road. Agua Fresca. Ooh, easy. Easy, don't reach down. Alright, well, there is a road here. Until you see a road, follow the road. Alright, so where does the road go? That was pretty easy to find a road. Follow the road 3 minutes and 27 seconds north until the road will take you past a river bridge next to a small roadside village. Is it that one? It's probably not that one. It's going to be the next one because like we really just came perfectly straight across there. So it's going to be probably a bunch of times we're going to see a river bridge next to a road, that sort of thing. What's interesting is the headings here. Yeah. Okay, I'll buy it. It's calling for like a 335 heading, which makes me wonder if this is the right road, because there's a second road that went up that valley there. And I wonder if that was the correct road, but we're going to follow this one anyways. We can always circle back. If we make a mistake, we can always circle back. We've got lots and lots of gas in the tanks. If we make a mistake, just come back to it again. Alright, so we're going to continue following this road. The road will take you past a bridge next to a small road. Continue along the road, you should pass a river that's right by a crossroads. Alright. Roundabout there. I don't see any river bridge though really along this road. Not yet. So 3 minutes and 27 seconds. I mean, there's a village. I just don't see a river crossing really. See, that could be the Agua Fresca Junction. That's been about 3 minutes 27 seconds. Okay, yeah, I'll buy that because that's a decent junction. Okay, so let's. What are we doing here? Okay, we're okay. So road will take you past a river bridge next to a small road. Soon should pass a river that's right by a crossroads. Alright, so this just keeps on going right up the shoreline here. I certainly hope we're going the right way. If this doesn't pan out, we'll circle back and do it again. As I have done in the past. Until I figure out where I need to be. There's definitely some signs of humanity though, at least. There's just... Oh, shit. Wait, shoot. I didn't start the timer. So it's about 30 seconds in. So, Laguna Paria Ridge. Oh, I'm feeling a little challenged though. And more than a little nervous, and I wonder if that little road that went up the valley was the right one or not. Some cars along this road. Little side road up that valley there. You passed over a bridge next to a small roadside village. It's right by a crossroads. Alright, so we should see a little village with a river. There's a little village coming up here with climbing again. There is a little, that's a little village. That's a very little village. The road will take you past a river bridge next to a small roadside village. Yeah, there's a little stream that comes down that. It's not much of a bridge, but it's there. A little village, that could be it. And soon you should pass a river that's right by a crossroads. Talk about expectation bias, though, too, and kind of, you know, reading into the situation and seeing what I want to see. It is a little village, it is a little river, and it's definitely possible that we're going the right way. In another minute and a bit, we should pass a river that's right by a crossroad. So I do see a kind of a crossroad up here. If that's a river valley right next to it, then that would work. That would definitely work. Let's just trim down just a little bit more here. Wow. Just wow, though. It's not the easiest thing in the world to navigate this. Yeah, there's a little bit of a valley here, which makes me think that there might be a bridge here. Not exactly wide rivers, but they're definitely rivers. Trying to have some fun here. Yeah, no. I'm kind of cheating a little bit, mostly because I'm just trying to get some nice internal shots once in a while, just to kind of add to the whole thing. Alright, yep, no, that looks like what we need. That looks like a small river by a crossroads. Very good. And the timing was just about perfect on that. So great. Alright, continue traveling north. You should soon pass another small roadside village. Follow the road north past another river feeding into the strait that runs through a rural town. We're looking for the Discordia Bridge next. Definitely, if you like peace and quiet, this is part of the world to be in. Imagine what the sunrises must look like across this water here. Some of the people that live along this shoreline. Oh, it must be awesome, beautiful every morning. Give you a great reason to just wake up. Alright, follow the road north, past another river, past another small village. I mean, that could be the small roadside village. Because when they say small, they aren't kidding. Now, it's got to be a little bit further. Could be this river here. Another river feeding into the strait that runs through a rural town. So it could be this one. See anything else too far ahead here. A little bit early though. It should be 3:48. We're only at about a minute 30 by the time we pass being this one, so maybe it's a little further along here. Or maybe this is the bridge by the crossroads. The city of Punta Arena. Okay, so we're heading towards the city. So what do we? I wonder if that's the city up there. Because that, I wonder if that's a river that's right by a crossroads. That almost feels more like the right spot there. So almost 2 minutes in. Let's go. I'm gonna leave the timer going. Follow the road north past another river feed. That's another small roadside village. Could be this. Follow the road north past another river feeding into the strait that runs through a rural town. So there is a little bit of a village kind of along here too. There's a number of villages, so as we keep going here, we just got to keep going until we hit the city anyways. I mean, we still got a ways to go, but we're following the road north. We're not going wrong here. So that could have been it. So in that case, that was it. That was the Discordia Bridge. Sorry, that was the Laguna Pariar Bridge, I think. I begin to think that was the Laguna Pariar Bridge. Then we need to go to about 748 to get to the Discordia Bridge. So we'll just keep following this. There's definitely a lot of rivers here, but I haven't seen a river that passes through a rural town yet. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And the other hint is that we're going to head into the city of Punta Arena, so either way we're looking for a city. And I see kind of like it's a little grayer up ahead, so I think the city's up there. So I think, yeah, I think our timing was a little bit off. I think that was Laguna Pariar that we just passed right there. And so another like 5:48, yeah, so 2 minutes and 5:48, so another 2 minutes, I think, and we'll reach Discordia Bridge, give or take. We're slowly going down again. The hint will be a river feeding into the strait that runs through a rural town. So I haven't seen, none of the rivers seem to have gone through a town yet. All the little villages have been kind of clinging to the side of the road, but not close to the rivers. So I don't think we're there yet, but I think this is going to be Punta Arena up here. Oh. This is so much fun, but it's just so much mental workload too, just trying to keep up with this. Alright, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm just going to look over here for 1 second and put something on my YouTube channel as well, just for anybody that might want to watch. Kind of have an idea of what we're doing here, so I'm just going to... There is a river coming up there. I see a little river there in the distance, so let me just really quickly... Alright. So here comes another river running into the strait. I still don't see the village they're talking about, though. Unless it's just those couple of buildings down there. We're starting to get into the city itself, though. Is this the Discordia Bridge? I just don't see a rural town that this river feeds. I think we're in the right general area. Unless this is it. Maybe this is it here. There's nothing here. It says look for, follow the road north past another river feeding into the strait that runs through a rural town. There's no town here. There's no town along this village as far as the eye can see. So I don't think that's the right spot. I think this is it. There's a river running through a rural town. Yeah, that looks like it. So that's the Discordia Bridge. So my timing has been way off here. I've been following the road correctly, but just my timing's been way out. I'm going almost as fast as I want to. We'll go just a little bit faster because I feel like we're taking too long. Anyways, we are following the road north. This has got to be Punta Arena here now. It's starting to develop into a big city, but this has got to be the Discordia Bridge here. Make your way north along the road, heading to the city of Punta Arena. Continue along the road. It will eventually bend northeast at the end of the shoreline and pass a crossroads, which leads to a highway junction. Continue following the road. Okay. this has definitely got to be the Discordia Bridge here. Okay, this is the first river that's kind of passed through a rural town. Yeah, okay, absolutely. This makes the most sense here. Okay, so Tres Puente Junction. Alright, so first of all, we go for 5 miles till we're in the city, 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and then continue along the road, eventually bend northeast at the end of the shoreline, and pass a crossroads which leads to Highway Junction. Just continue to follow the road. Don't give in. Don't follow the highway. Don't give in to anything else. Just follow the road. Oh, mercy. It's pretty junky looking properties along the waterfront. Some of these areas. Some of them are probably really nice, and some people are just, you know, repairing boats and what else along their property here. Some bigger farms. How much more agricultural activity. Boy, the landscape has changed since we took off and started this leg. We've gone from just absolutely desolate wilderness with almost nothing to a city of a decent size here. Alright, so we gotta follow this road carefully here, because this is the shoreline road we've been trusting so far. Welcome to the city of Punta Arena. Well, we made it out of the wilderness, back to civilization. If the engine quit here, I think we'd be okay. I think we'd be able to swim to shore, and there's lots of people who would be able to save us. It's not like we're out in the wilderness where we crashed the airplane before. Okay. Follow the road. So that's about 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and just after 4 minutes, about 10 miles in. Eventually bend to the northeast at the end of the shoreline and pass a crossroads which leads to a highway junction. Continue following this road. Alright, so we gotta make sure we follow this road. Is that a river or is that the highway? It could be the highway. This road just continues right along. And I see the end of the shoreline. It really does kind of suddenly abruptly end here. The road bends to the northwest, not the northeast. Now, I think that's the second time this person has made that mistake. And which have otherwise been pretty good. That is the river that just cuts right through the middle of Punta Arena. Mostly been very good directions, but once in a while, twice now, they stayed at northwest, or they stayed at northeast when I think they meant northwest. Alright, so then there should be a highway junction. Head northeast at the end of the shoreline, pass a crossroads which leads to a highway junction. Continue following the road, so don't go to the highway junction. Follow the road. Follow the road as it bends its way back towards the north. Eventually you should see a road running along the shoreline to the east. Merge with the one you're currently following. Continue on. just follow the roads and the shorelines endlessly north, and eventually we'll get where we're going. Nice little shoreline industrial park. So here is the crossroads. It leads to the highway junction. Big wide avenues to the city here too, but this is the highway junction right here by the looks of it. And the timing is just about perfect there. Just over 4 minutes in. Beautiful. See, even trucks and everything driving down these roads. When they work and the bridges actually cross the water, they're really quite effective. All the road is bends its way back to the north along the shoreline. To the east. Running along the shoreline to the east, merge with the one. Okay. We're almost at the end here. So, eventually, I'm not sure if we're actually following the highway or if we're following the meandering road. But eventually they're going to merge back together by the looks of it. Oh, and I can see lights already, so... I kind of wish sometimes that you could turn the approach lights off, especially during the day. That should really be an option, because most airports don't keep their approach lights on during the day if there's no need to. If it's low visibility, they would, but screaming VMC, no. There should be like a visibility threshold. As long as the visibility is over like a mile or two, and the ceiling's over, you know, like if it's, as long as it's not like, you know, 200 and a half, as long as it's over like, you know, 401, if it's double the standard IFR minimums, I'd say turn the lights off. Stop having them on all the time, because it's just so distracting. See, I saw the airport long before we were supposed to get to it now. So eventually these roads merge back together here, unless it's not the airport we're going to, which is possible, but no, it looks like it. Looks like the timing's about right. Soon the road will bend towards the northwest. At that point, follow the curve of the shoreline past a little industrial dock. Continue to the northernmost point of the shoreline before making your way to the island off the coast to the north on the southwest shoreline. Yeah, oh, we're not going to that airport. Oh, beauty. Oh, okay. Because that was almost too easy. Yeah, that's probably like the major international airport here. But we're gonna go land at some little airstrip off on the island. So there's the shoreline roads merged together again. Beauty. So we'll just ignore that airport altogether. This is why I don't want to fly these live on VATSIM, because if I was there on VATSIM, there could potentially be people taking off and landing there and getting very pissed off at me right now. So let's not do that. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So soon the road will bend toward the northwest. At that point, follow the curve of the shoreline past a little industrial dock. So another 5 miles, so basically about the same amount of time. So probably right about here, I think. And continue to the northernmost point of the shoreline before making your way to the island off the coast to the north. On the southwest shoreline of that island is an airstrip you can land at, so somewhere over here. So we're not landing at this airport. This is probably the major international airport for Patagonia. And that's not where we're going. That's probably where the industrial dock is. Cut north there, and the airstrip will be right there. And again, in this picture, it's so faint. If I blow this up, does it get bigger? That does get bigger. Okay, there's the airport. Yeah. You can see that. So this is probably this is where we're coming from right now. This is us right here. We're going to come up along the shoreline, cross over, and on the southwest corner, so on the far side there, there's looks like it's potentially a paved airstrip, or at least maybe a gravel airstrip. That's a pretty serious looking airport though. Not the kind of place we're landing our X-Cup, that's for sure. Alright, following the shoreline. That's probably the industrial dock right there. We just gotta cross over to the island. Wow. Just wow, what a voyage. So what a beautiful voyage too. Should have put my water bottle in that cup over there. Still have not figured out how we trim this airplane though. There's got to be a trim indicator in here somewhere, you would think. Oh, we really have used a lot of fuel from one side, so let's go ahead and switch that back right now. There we go. So one thing that is kind of perplexing me about this airplane, there's got to be a trim indicator somewhere, you would think. Or do we just do it by feel and by looking out the window? That was what we did back in the good old 150 and the 172, was you just look behind you at the window. There was actually a trim indicator on the dial too, but you'd also look out the window and just make sure it's basically in line with the elevator. Alright, so the road keeps off to the northwest. It's definitely looking more urban here. Is that a racetrack? Is that like a stock car racetrack or a F1 racetrack or something? That's what it looks like anyways. Oh, nifty. Little grandstand there and everything. Alright, so past the industrial dock, northwest, to the shoreline. I think we might actually start to pull the power off a little bit here. Get the carb heat on. on the southwest. So we are heading due north, so this side right here is an airstrip. So we're just going to start pulling the power off, start pushing her down just a little bit. So we're not too high to make this approach like we always are. Getting a little jostled around here. Get to explore parts of the world I don't think I would ever see otherwise if I didn't do it this way. Alright, so it looks on the southwest shoreline of that island is an airstrip you can land at. So we're just going to kind of tuck it a little closer here and see if we can't find it. We're kind of going down, but we're not losing the airspeed. I should probably sacrifice a little bit of airspeed now for altitude. Start slowing this down so we can deploy some flaps soon. Where are you? So to look at the picture, it's just around the corner, so we'll probably suddenly line up with it and spot it here in a moment. This right here.
500.
Look at that picture. It's just kind of around the corner of this bay here. Just fly along the shoreline. I think I see it there. That's got to be it there. This time we're not coming in super high like we do most of the time. Trying to just bring the speed back enough to get some flaps out. Not a particularly long strip by the looks of it. Marco Davison Bascure Airport. There we go. I won't say I've mastered the tail dragger landing, but that was probably one of the nicest landings I've done yet on this leg. Let's just take it back to the threshold of the runway before we stop. But that was probably one of the nicest landings I've done yet on this bush tour. Starting to master this thing here. Yeah, it does look like the tire turns when you're rolling along the ground. It's kind of a little bit blurry. Can't even see where the start of this runway is here. Here somewhere. Alright, but we have done, this is leg number 6, I believe, so I think we'll tackle one more for tonight. This is the end of the runway right here. And then I stopped. Well, that's pretty close to where I need to be for the next takeoff anyways. All right, 38 minutes. We got one more in me, I think. We've been going at this for quite a while already. Wow. It's been an hour and 40 minutes already. Oh, that was way longer than I expected. All right. This next one, I think, is one of the longest ones. Okay, go away, GSX. 165 miles, 70. It's an hour and 10 minutes, so yeah, we'll do this one and we'll pull the plug, I think, after this. This is a long one, so hopefully I don't get lost on this one. All right, fuel tanks are refilled. Perfect. Let's get the flaps back to flaps 1 there for takeoff. Let's get mixture prop all the way full rich. And actually, the one thing I might do really quickly before I actually get going here, carb heat in as well, and I might put the park brake on for a second. I'm just going to grab a bottle of water because I'm getting quite parched from talking here. So just give me 1 second. We'll be right back. Because when I was commenting on that cup holder being empty and how I wish there was a bottle of water in it, it was because I was starting to feel a little parched. Okay, let's do one more leg. This is a long one. It's an hour and 10 minute leg, 165 miles. This is a long one, so let's make sure we do this right. Let's not get lost. Bay opening. Once in the air, make your way north to the opening of a bay at the northernmost point of the steep just in the distance. Once in the air, make your way north to the opening of a bay at the northernmost point of the steep just in the distance. Okay, north. North, that's the important thing. Alright, just a quick look at the compass. We are facing northeast, so north is that way. Alright. Brakes off. And one more leg with the X-Cub. Knots, just let her fly off the runway. She's definitely not trimmed. Definitely going to need a whole bunch of forward trim, but I don't know how to reset the trim. That's my problem. Because I don't know what the trim setting is. I find it very challenging to reset the trim if I don't know what the trim setting is. Alright, so there's 500 feet. I'm going to go flaps up there. Alright, let's go ahead and turn to a heading of north. And let's go ahead and start the timer. First leg, 6 miles, 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Alright, once again going for 1,500 feet, so to the opening of a bay at the northernmost point of the steep, just in the distance. Alright, let's get this thing leveled out here. Of a bay. Being a little aggressive here. She kind of needs a little bit of a heavy hand for a moment just because she's so far out of trim here for cruise flight, but we'll get her in there. Alright, so the real question is which bay do I want to be at? One kind of over there in the distance. There's one here closer. For 2 minutes and 49 seconds, I'm going to say this one here. We're halfway there already. Trying to find my happy trim here. Funny thing is, if you learn an airplane too, you learn how much trim it needs. You learn how much trim how much motion of the trim wheel will take you where you need to go, whether it be trim up or trim down. Yeah, so this has got to be it. All right, head northwest towards river opening on the other side of the bay and follow it. The river leads to a large body of water. Yeah, on the other side, then you should see another river opening. Okay, yeah, I'll buy that. 6 minutes, 6 miles to the other end of the river opening there. Yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah, this is going to be 2 minutes and 49 seconds. That would be way too far. It could have been it, but no, it's way too far. So there's the river. There's the next body of water. Alright, this time already I feel like we're on the right track, and the descriptions are a lot more reasonable this time here. Okay, so we'll turn from the bay opening here towards the river, the body of water, the river after it. So 6.62 miles, 3 minutes and 9 seconds to get us to the next one there. So river, body of water, next river opening. So Laguna Cabeza de Mar is this one here, I believe. Still climbing. Thought we had trimmed it out, but I think she's still accelerating. That's probably why. Get her to a bit of a descent here in a second. We'll get a little bit more speed, and it'll kind of reach its own little stasis. Turn and head southwest to the western shoreline of the lake. You should see a road on the shoreline that leads to a fork. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is it here. Maybe it's not this. Maybe it's this. Maybe this is not Laguna Cabeza de Mar. Maybe this is Laguna Cabeza de Mar. So it did say large body of water. This is not a very large body of water, and it hasn't been enough time. It's only been half the time. So I think it'll be the next one here. Turn and head southwest to the western shore of the lake. You should see a road on the shoreline that leads to a fork. Yeah, okay, so yeah, if we gotta be 3 minutes and 9 seconds anyways, and we do. I'm gonna head southwest and find this thing on the other side here. If you didn't have these times and distances, you would not be able to do this at all. Because they at least provide you, even if they didn't have the times, if they had the distances, you can figure out your own times. You'd use a whiz wheel and figure out your own times, although, and that would be actually an interesting challenge in and of itself. I'm almost surprised they haven't worked an E6B into the simulator. You just pull it up from your toolbar, use it anytime you need to. Okay, because this, yeah, so to get to this next body of water here from, well, there's the river anyways, but once we start over this, and then so we're looking for a road on the other side that leads to a fork in the road. Past the fork, heading past the lake. Just up ahead, and it's going to make way to the lake beyond, which looks to... And instead of making way to the lake beyond, which looks to have bleached white sandy shores of Laguna del Toro. Alright. I'm just going to wait until we get over the shoreline of this lake to sort of start it, and then we got to pick up a southwest heading to find a road that forks. Alright, so this is the shoreline. I probably should be crossing it closer to the river there, so pick up. So reset it, start that, turn and head southwest to the shoreline of the lake. You should see a road on the shoreline that leads to a fork. And already I see what I think is a fork up there. Past the fork, heading past the lake just up ahead, and instead making way to the lake beyond. So yeah, so there's the fork, there's the lake beyond the bleached white sandy shores, Laguna del Toro. Yeah, that all seems to add up. This is actually the easiest one so far. I'll almost shockingly easy sometimes. So Laguna del Toro. Make your way to the western shore of Laguna del Toro. A little further on from this is a dirt road running south to a small village junction, Estancia Entre Vientos. Alright, so this is the road fork here. There's the fork in the road that leads to a lake, that leads to another lake. Bleached white shores, yeah, I'll buy that. Just need an hour, a minute 53 to get across that lake, but I may not have hit it in the right spot there, so 212 now. Past the lake up ahead, instead make your way to the lake beyond. Western shore of Laguna del Toro, a little further on from this, a dirt road running south to a small village. Okay, so we gotta cross the western shore of Laguna del Toro. Now we're really heading overland. That is enough of the, that is enough of all the, follow the shoreline, follow the mountain, follow the shoreline, cross the water, follow the shoreline. That was getting a little bit repetitive after a while there. Okay. 2 minutes and 12 seconds to Laguna del Toro. Yeah, that's 1 minute so far. We made it halfway across the first lake. The road keeps going off that way, but we're going this way looking for a small road on the far side of this lake. Small village junction. Estancia Entre Vientos. Follow nearby the road running northwest. It will let you run on the bank of the estuary just to the west. Alright, so we gotta go across this lake. The white sandy, the wet bleached white sandy shores. On the far side, make your way to the western shore of Laguna del Toro. Western shore of Laguna, a little further on this dirt road running south. Alright, so we've made it to Laguna del Toro. Let's reset it and restart the timing here. We gotta go across the western edge of the lake. Looking for a dirt road leading to a small village junction, Estancia Entre Vientos. Hopefully it'll be pretty obvious because we're going west. It should be right across our track here. Why these shores are so bleached. Has the lake receded? Is that why? Has the level of this lake fallen? Okay, I do see some stuff going through, cutting through here. So there's either this or maybe even this. We gotta go 6 miles, 2 minutes 52 seconds to get to Estancia. So I see a little something cut through here, but I see a little bit more of a substantial dirt road here. I think this is the one to follow here, isn't it? And then that's probably Estancia Entre Vientos down there. If I were a guessing man, and really this whole exercise today is about guessing, I would say that that's where we want to go. So let me just kind of cross this road here. Is it a dirt road? Or is it paved? A little further on from this is a dirt road running south to a small village junction. If it's paved, it's not well paved. There's the estuary that they're probably talking about. So yeah, I think we're doing good here. I think we're doing good. Okay. We're in the right ballpark already. So follow nearby the road running northwest. Yeah, so this has got to be it here. Because the timing's about right as well. Estancia entre vientos. Alright, so let's follow the road nearby running northwest. It will eventually run along the bank of the estuary. Just to the west, before leading to a small port town, Villa Ponsonby. And we are losing altitude the turn. I suspect we were losing the turn. Felt like we were. Alright, so heading to Villa Ponsonby. We'll eventually run along the bank of the estuary just to the northwest. Before leading to a small port town, Villa Ponsonby. So yeah, we'll just continue following this road. It looks like it does eventually hook into the shoreline right up there, which is exactly what we want to have happen. And I gain 400 feet now because I'm not paying attention because I'm looking out the window too much, which is fine. Because that sky you got to navigate when you're flying VFR is you got to look out the window. So we're going to follow this road for 10 miles, 4.5 minutes. That should lead us to Villa Ponsonby. It's a long route here. If I can conquer this one though, I'll be like, we're ready for anything. Bring it on. 165 miles, holy moly, it's a long trip. I don't know if you noticed it, but I bumped up the power by another inch just to give us just a little boost of speed to just keep this wagon train rolling, because I didn't even realize how much time I'd already killed. I'd already killed an hour and 40 minutes just doing the first 2 legs. These are long legs now. The first few legs, there was a lot of little airstrips, a lot of shorter hops. Now it's an hour and 10 minutes to go. I gotta remember to switch tanks every once in a while here. Do I have a chronometer? I probably do. I'm not too worried about it. Alright, but we are looking for Villa Ponsonby, which is a little port town. Probably where the estuary opens back up again here. If I was a betting man anyways. And that would put it at about the 10-mile mark, give or take. Not too many bridges across these waterways though. Probably not very much demand for them. A lot of ferry service in this neck of the woods, I imagine, as well, to get from place to place. I thought I see what looks like a road on that side as well. Plus there's like one bridge down here where the channel is narrowest, which would be the most sense. If you're going to build a bridge, you want to build it when the channel is narrow. So it's going to cost you the least amount. Alright. Nice kind of flat land, but there's mountains off in almost every direction if you start to look in the distance. Maybe there is a bridge up ahead. Be the perfect place to put a port and a bridge would be right behind this hill right here, and that would put us right about at the 4 minutes 50-second mark, so keep an eye open for it here. Head west across the estuary to the eastern shore of Ilariesco. Make your way west along its northern shoreline. You should eventually pass a river running into the body of water just to the north. Sinos Skyring. Carry on west. So yeah, that's got to be right here at the mouth of the river, the mouth of the estuary, and we just carry on that shoreline there. Would appear to be the name of the game what we're doing here. What a big amount of work it must have been to put these bush trips together as well, when you start to think about it. When you think about the amount of effort that went into researching place names, flying these flights at least a handful of times, trying to find landmarks, trying to just see what is out there that I can use as a landmark that I can describe to somebody. Because that probably wasn't easy. I feel like I might just miss this port town if I'm not careful here. Is this it right here? This could well be it right here. And it looks like there's that what did I tell you? There's no bridge, but look, that's got to be a ferry dock right there. That could be the port town. If the timing is just right, but boy, I don't know if I'd even give it the name of town. That's a tiny little village, but there's the ferry. That's how you get across this body of water. There's no bridge. It's just a ferry. That's it. That's got to be it. All right. So head west across the estuary to the eastern shore of Ilariesco. Make your way west along its northern shoreline. You should eventually pass a river running into the body of water just to the north. Sinoscaring. Carry on west. Losing altitude in the turn again. Losing altitude in the turn again. Okay. So carry on west. Rio Vaquero. 3 minutes and 12 seconds. 6.72 miles. Just follow this shoreline. Looks like this little dirt track winds along this shoreline, but there certainly is not much to it. Probably want to have a pretty rugged vehicle to drive this this area. As you continue down the shore, you'll pass another river feeding into Sinoscaring. Rio Palos. So this is Sinoscaring. I guess this whole body of water is called Sinoscaring. So the first river we're going to cross in 3 minutes and 12 seconds is Rio Vaquero, then another 2 minutes and 6 seconds to Rio Palos. Oh, we're following a road. I didn't realize we were following it. It is on the shoreline, and we are following the shoreline, so I guess indirectly we're following the road, but we haven't been told to follow the road. Anyhow, this road will eventually peter out, and we'll be back into the wilderness again. It's funny because, like, that city we passed, Puerto Arena, was a pretty big city. Tens of thousands, if not 100,000 people probably. And now we're back into just, like, wilderness. I don't even know what people are farming down here. Certainly it's not very organized farming. It looks like it's the kind of place where you're probably going to raise like herds of sheep and you know, flock animals. It doesn't even look like you're going to do that much otherwise. All right, 3 minutes and 12 seconds to Rio Vaquero. There's something coming up here. I haven't even moved this bar halfway down. This is halfway. This is a long set of bush trips up here. I don't see anything that really looks like a river yet. A couple little roads across there, but nothing that really looks like a river yet. It's supposed to be 3 minutes and 12 seconds in. This right here must be it. That must be Rio Vaquero. Rio Vaquera. Rio Vaqueria. That must be it. It's not much. As you continue down the shoreline, you'll pass another river feeding to Sinoscaring, Rio Palos. So another 2 minutes. So about the 5:15 mark. Yeah, that must be it. Rio Vaquera. Vaqueria. And another 2 minutes down here, Rio Palos. Find the last farm, the last little farm at the end of the road. That's what we're striving for next by the looks of it. And those mountains are definitely getting closer. We are definitely making progress into these mountains, and I feel like we're going to have to cross through this range of mountains here at some point. Alright, so here comes this kind of a river here, maybe behind the town. Not really. That could be it. I think that's almost too early. The first one was 3:12. That's got to be closer to 5 minutes, so it's got to be maybe this one here. There's lots of little tiny rivers that come down here. And this must be the rocky outcropping that they're talking about up ahead, Estancia Rocalosa. So 3 minutes 12 and 2 minutes 6 adds up to 5 minutes and 18 seconds. So somewhere soon should be Rio Palos. It looks like there's kind of a little bit of a valley right here. So this is probably Rio Palos right here. Perfect. So I think we're on track. And then it says head along, continue westwards towards the shoreline outcropping where the road you're following will peter out. Here you should find a small farm. So on this outcropping we should find the last farm where the road ends. Cluster of islands. Make your way down the shoreline eventually as you head southwest on the coastline. You should see an archipelago in the distance. Yeah, so that's got to be it. That's got to be the river because that's just about perfect timing. Okay, perfect. So 3 minutes and 54 seconds to get us to Estancia Rocosa, where this road will finally end. And I'm guessing that's the shoreline outcropping they're talking about up ahead. 3 minutes and 54 seconds to get there. And it's funny because, like, it feels like these journeys take forever when you're in the X-Cup, and then you start to look at it just on the scale of the planet, you know, like, and I look at some of the distances that I've gone and some of the flights that I've done, and that, you know, for me, with the aircraft I've flown 5 hours is about the longest, 5.5 hours is about the longest flight I ever do. And those feel long. That feels like a long time. It feels like you cover a lot of distance. You start to look at this planet, you're covering a fraction of the distance on this planet. You've got to do those 5-hour trips multiple times to even get halfway around the town, even get halfway around the world. It's all relative. Alright, so yeah, we'll make it to that outcropping at about the 3-4 minute mark, give or take. Let me just check something here. Alright. So this rocky outcropping has got to be Estancia Rocosa, where the road will peter out. Here you should find a small farm. And then make your way down the shoreline eventually. As you head southwest on the coastline, you should see a cluster of islands in the distance. That's going to be 15 miles. That's going to be a pretty big chunk of change. We have already gone like a long way around this body of water here. And imagine how long it takes to drive this little road. You take that ferry, like you're coming to this farm, you take that ferry across the water there. And I mean, it probably took you long enough just to get to that town, to get to the ferry, to come across the water, to drive to your farm out here. Like, you have to be self-sufficient out here. You're not dropping by Walmart if you need something. You are on your own. You know, you could make a trip into town, but these are the kind of things you have to plan to go like once every couple of weeks, bring back everything you might need, and for the most part, like I said, be self-sufficient. So the next waypoint is going to be 15 miles away, so double the distance we just did there. And almost might be easier to get to a large town by water. If you had a good fast boat, you'd probably get there almost as fast as driving. You certainly don't have to wait for the ferry. Alright, so here's the end of the line. There it is. Estancia Rocosa. The end of the line, last farm. After this, the road basically peters out into nothing but a little mud track. Probably more by animals than humans nowadays. And it is a long way back to where we crossed the ferry dock there too. Alright. It's taken us like 20 minutes to drive this. It probably takes at least an hour bouncing along that dirt road just to get to the ferry dock, to cross the other side, to drive to the nearest town, which is still a long way away. Like, you've got to love your peace and quiet out here. Alright, so let's reset and restart 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Make your way down the shoreline. Eventually head southwest. See a cluster of islands. Make your way past the islands and continue onwards towards the southernmost point of the large island just to the north of you. Isla Grande. So I see a few small islands out here. I wonder if these are the islands or if, like, keep on kind of tucking around the shoreline and then that's Isla Grande. I see a few kind of small islands here and there, but I wonder if these are even the ones, like, where it's way too close, I think, for that to be the ones we're referring to. So I think probably when we come around this next curve in the mountains here, and it is starting to get pretty mountainous up here again. Some pretty nice snow-covered peaks. And once again, we are leaving civilization far behind us. Hope we know where we're going. And I hope we don't get lost. To date, we haven't got lost. We were confused momentarily, and the timing didn't work out on some of that last leg, but we did get to our destination in the end, and that's the important part. Alright, so just keep it counting. I wonder if this is Isla Grande. I'm not even sure what to think anymore because it's... make your way down the shoreline. Eventually, as you head southwest, a cluster of islands in the distance. Or is this Grand Island? Because that's a really big island. Because we've only covered 2 minutes, we need to cover 4 more minutes. I see a little island out here, so I'm going to continue following the shoreline and think that maybe this is Grand Island South. And then... wow. Places I would never even think of looking at on a map. Look at how square some of these land classes are here because it's just... there's so little land data available out here. This is... some of this is back to the P3D world. P3D did not have this many good realistic looking trees, but just in terms of just basic land class data being available. I think this is probably the cluster of islands we're talking about. It looks like we got a couple of little islands there, and then this would be Grand Island. We cross over to that and follow back along the shoreline on the other side. That seems about right. Anyways, we'll just keep following the shoreline here and see how it does in about 4 more minutes, but that does look like it's going to be about right. This is going to turn into a very long stream. It's going to be about a 3-hour stream by the time all is said and done, I think, just with the distance still to go here. We still have probably about 45 minutes here to go until we get there. I think about 45 minutes, give or take. Seems about right. Seem to be some islands kind of caught in the water here. It could even be these here. We'll have a look. But then this would also be a very good island to name Isla Grande. It's a very, very tall island. It's the biggest one of the islands in this channel, which would then make it very sensible to name that Isla Grande. And 7 minutes is going to put us around these islands here. Yeah, that's about right. Working in this direction. A little bit too long sitting in the seat here. Not even any headrests. Alright, how are we doing fuel-wise? We have burned 20 gallon. We burned down to 20 gallon. Burned 3 gallons. So let's go ahead and switch tanks again here just to keep the fuel burn somewhat even. Alright, so it's either these ones here or it's these ones here. I feel like it's these ones here, because then you're going to make your way past the islands, continue onwards to the southernmost point of Isla Grande. But what what's our heading now? Yeah, so this is west. So southernmost point's going to be like over here. And then just to the west of Isla Grande is another cluster of islands, archipelago. Make your way northwest, following your heading over the archipelago towards the shoreline of the mountains ahead of you. Just head further northwest and head of the shoreline. Alright, so we're just going to keep on hooking around this island. Yeah, this has got to be the cluster of islands here. It makes sense from a distance perspective, and also then this must be Isla Grande, and they want us to go straight across to the southernmost point of Isla Grande, which makes some sense. Alright, some trees are stuck in the water, some trees are not. The AI kind of broke down. It's like, not enough data, unable to compute land. Looks really good in North America, where there's lots of data available. Here, it's a little more basic. Still beautiful though, and if you just sort of use your imagination a little bit, you can just imagine what this country looks like. Oh, to be doing this flight in real life, absolutely spectacular. Yeah, it'll be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I think of the things I've done, the once-in-a-lifetime experiences I've done, and I think probably be almost nothing on this. And I would love to do that. I would love to do like a good old backwoods trip. Like I would like to have a guide. You know, I'd like to go with somebody who kind of knows what they're doing, but I would just love to take an airplane back into the backcountry like this. Just, you know, even just to camp out, pitch a tent, you know, find a rocky beach to land on, pitch a tent, just be master of your own domain. Oh, that'd be absolutely spectacular. I would love to try backcountry camping. I'm a little bit of a chicken sometimes. You know, that I think that's kind of a bit of the pilot be the risk assessment. I'm a bit of a chicken sometimes, but I would love to try and do some backcountry camping. I would love to do it one day with somebody who knows what they're doing. Someone, you know, I wouldn't claim to even be the slightest bit skilled where I can get away with that sort of thing. Alright, so make your way past the islands and continue onwards towards the southernmost point of the large island just to the north of you, Isla Grande. So this is Isla Grande's southernmost point right here. We're going to aim right for that. But I think that would be so much fun to go and do that. Just be sort of completely self-contained, self-reliant for even just a couple of days. Like, I mean, yeah, it's funny. Like, I complain about these things. Like, here I am streaming on YouTube, you know, fully engulfed in the digital era at times. But then the pleasure of actually disconnecting from that digital era just makes it even more so. It makes you appreciate the digital era when you are in it even a little bit more, but also makes you realize that as human beings we can get away without this stuff, that we can do the basics of life. Alright. Just to the west of Isla Grande is another cluster of islands, archipelago. Make your way northwest, following your heading, over the archipelago towards the shoreline of the mountains ahead of you. So we're just going to pick up a northwesterly heading, cross these clusters of islands for 3 minutes and 2 seconds, and just to head further northwest and head to the shoreline at the foot of the mountain up ahead. Okay, well, we're like halfway there now. Alright, so here is the southernmost point of Isla Grande. So turn to the northwest. So just to the west is another cluster of islands. We're going to cross the cluster of islands. Towards the shoreline of the mountains ahead of you. Just to head further northwest and head up the shoreline at the foot of the mountain up ahead. Head northwest along the shoreline, passing over multiple bays and inlets as you go. Make your way to the end of the shoreline where you will find a hook-like outcropping. So at some point we're going to find a hook-like outcropping. That's going to be really our big kind of key. Turn further towards north and head past the eastern side of the peninsula ahead and the shoreline. Eventually we're back into lake territory, so the big gist of it is continue to follow all these mountains. Follow this shoreline around the mountain. This could be Punta del Norte, straight in front of us here. So we'll see when we get about 5 minutes, because I'm not sure exactly what angle we're supposed to cross it. If we're supposed to go more obliquely across it, or if we're kind of supposed to line up along these islands here. We're going to just try and find a, kind of a nice combination, but definitely we just keep following the shoreline. So head further northwest to go around this mountain up ahead. Head to the shoreline at the foot of the mountain ahead. So I think the big thing is we don't go in here, right? I'm hoping that's the case. Well, it says more northwest because this is west. So if it wants more northwest, I would say definitely we should be going right, not left, around this mountain. Yeah, it doesn't look like these estuaries, these inlets don't go too far. We'll kind of have a look at it here. So I need a total timing of 5 minutes, basically, to the shoreline at the foot of the mountain up ahead. So 5 minutes will probably take me to that. More northwest. Northwest will take me even more this way. Making way to the end of the shoreline where you'll find a hook-like outcropping. So, wow, just how far have we come? So this Isla Grande, like, it's crazy when you like how far in the distance. The farm was way, way back there. The ferries were even further back there. We have come a long way already. And we're only halfway there, so we've probably covered about 80 miles. Yeah, we probably have covered about 80 miles. Well, it feels like it. 1 mile at a time. We are back into very rugged wilderness. Nobody around for miles. So yeah, I think 5 minutes will put us right at the foot of this mountain here. This is much more west and almost southerly, so I don't think that's the way we were supposed to go. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to follow the shoreline this way to the right. It'll be another 3 minutes before we find the hook-like outcropping. So because the instructions are kind of a little bit vague at this point, I'm kind of combining the timing of these two together. So the Isla Risco Mountains, this is probably Isla Risco, and the Punta del Norte is probably this. Between these two things, I'm trying to kind of find about 5 minutes, and I think 5 minutes is going to put me at the shoreline at the foot of the mountain here, and then we follow that up ahead. I could be completely out to lunch, but so far everything's been adding up. Certainly, I have no doubt that at the southern tip of Isla Grande, I was in the right place. So carry on, and if I get lost, back we go. Back we go to Isla Grande. I did it once where I circled back and I actually went back and retraced my steps, made a slight change to my navigation, revised myself. See, this is putting us at about 5 minutes here. And then 3 minutes. Alright, so then 3 minutes and 7 seconds, you'll find a hook-like outcropping. So we're going to say we hit the shoreline now. 5 minutes, that's pretty darn close. Hook-like outcropping, it could be this. Might be a little bit early though. Multiple bays and inlets as I go. Turn further towards north and head past the eastern side of the peninsula just ahead. Small islands in the distance and make your way to the valley beyond the shoreline. Head through the valley to the opposite shoreline. Alright, so numerous bays and inlets. Oh, what are we doing? We're climbing. Well, better too high than too low. Alright. Numerous bays and inlets. Go about 3 minutes and 7 seconds to find a hook-shaped outcropping. Maybe this one up here. Whoa, she really wants to climb all of a sudden. Caught an updraft off that mountain or something there. Holy. to the end of the shoreline where you'll find a hook-like outcropping, unless it's this, but I think it's this here. Numerous bays and inlets. Wow, she just wants to keep on climbing now for some reason. Alright, I gave you some down trim. Stick with it. Stick with it. Numerous bays, numerous... This is probably the hook-shaped outcropping here, I think. That'll put it... Yeah, that could put it about 347. Turn further towards north and head past the eastern side of the peninsula just ahead. From there, pass 2 small islands in the distance and make your way to the valley beyond the shoreline. Head through the valley to the opposite shoreline. Alright, yeah, this has got to be the hook. I don't know why it's going so fast and pitching it down and gaining speed. Okay, so this is the hook-like outcropping. This is it right here for sure. Turn further towards north and head past the eastern side of the peninsula. Yeah, eastern side of this peninsula. See, it's just connected just barely to land there. Eastern side of the peninsula. From there, past 2 small islands in the distance. And make your way to the valley beyond the shoreline. Head through the valley to the opposite shoreline. Okay, so here is the hooky outcropping. Now we've gone down a little bit too far, but... Okay, so here's the hooky outcropping. We got there a little bit too soon, but anyways. No, actually no, it's 307. No, that was right. Turn further north, past the eastern end of the peninsula. Make your way to the valley beyond. From there, past 2 small islands in the distance. Make your way to the valley beyond the shoreline. Head through the valley to the opposite shoreline. So this valley right here, would seem to be like this is exactly what it's putting us on a trajectory for. Is this valley here? And we're going to have to pop out the other side. Hopefully there's something there. That hook outcropping was pretty good. 347. That hook-shaped outcropping was pretty good. So we're going to cross 2 small islands. All right, we're okay. I still believe us now. I was beginning to kind of question the timing and everything that was working out there, but no, I'd say it's working out really well now. So this point is right at this valley here. I'd say this is the valley we're supposed to fly through. Head through the valley to the opposite shoreline. So there's going to be another shoreline there. Make your way northeast up the channel, follow the shoreline until it reaches its end, where it will turn off towards the southeast. At this point, head northwest. And I can see water through there. Perfect. Estero obstrucción. Estero obstrucción. It feels like you should be able to get through here. It feels like there should be a channel through here, but I don't know if there is. And there's some tall mountains in the distance there too. Alright. I hope this is the right one. Way northeast of the channel. Okay, so Estación 347, so maybe this is not even the shoreline, maybe it's just a little further up this valley here even. I'm taking a bit of a gamble and just hoping that I'm going the right way. It does seem like it's going to open out to the right, though, which will put us more northeast, because we are still kind of heading northwest. We are, yeah, 330 heading's pretty reasonable by the compass. I think once we get around this outcropping here, which would also put us at about 347, we can turn to the northeast, fall to the end of the shoreline, and then at that point go back across the northwest. Alright. I feel like we're making it into the bottom half here of my scroll bar, which is kind of my guide to how we're doing here on this 165-mile bush trip voyage. It's a long way to go in the X-Cup. Okay, yeah, and so this is going to add up about right. So 347 as we cross this shoreline again, and then we turn northeast. Man, I'm just thinking to myself, like, as much as I'm kind of like hating on the person who wrote this some of the time because some of the instructions are just so vague, what did they have to work with? Like, very, very little to describe stuff. Yeah, so this opens up right here nicely. Okay. But yeah, so little to even describe stuff. Like, it's amazing that they were able to make an instruction that I'm able to follow here. And that, I think, is a hell of a lot of credit to the person who created these bush trips. Okay, so we're on the shoreline. We're going to follow it northeast. So make your way northeast up the channel, follow the shoreline until you reach its end, where it will turn off towards the southeast. At this point, head northwest. So we're going to follow this southern shoreline because that's the one that's going to turn southeasterly. So now we're kind of heading northeast. It's going to end in about 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Probably around this ridge here before the set of islands here. We're going to go back to the northwest. Boy, I'm really flexing my VFR muscle today, though, that's for sure. All right. Looks like just beyond this outcropping here, it's going to cut off to the southeast. At that point, we head northwest. Head directly across the channel, the opposite shoreline. Just beyond the shoreline is a lake that carpets the base of the valley it passes through. Well, we're definitely getting towards the end anyways. As I feel like we've been trucking along for quite some time now. It has been 45 minutes since we took off on this leg, I think. And then just the amount of distance we've covered, the amount of scenery we've covered is quite phenomenal. This is a fantastic bush trip, I gotta say. Like, the guys who put this together, well done. Lots of fun. Okay, so that's probably the lake up there, maybe that there. Let's follow the instructions here and see how it works out, because the timing works out really quite well, so you just gotta kind of have a little bit of faith in it. Could be this is the lake even, or it could be this is the lake. So the shoreline kind of ends right here. 2 minutes 47 seconds. Yeah, I'll buy that. Turn back to the northwest. Head directly across the channel to the opposite shoreline. Just beyond the shoreline is a lake. Maybe that is it. God, these instructions are getting incredibly complicated here. Okay, but yeah, this timing is working out just about right. We're going to get to the southwest shore. This has got to be it. Head the valley beyond and up towards the mountain. Alright, so let's do that. Let's restart this. Minute 23 across the lake. Don't pitch down in the turn. Come on, back pressure. I know Airbus has taught you never to put an input in again, and then the airplane will compensate for everything you ever need to do, but no. Put in the back pressure. Okay, so if we go directly across the channel, this has got to be the lake, and then head directly across the channel. Just beyond the shoreline is a lake. Head across the lake, and make your way to its opposite shore. From here, make your way through the valley towards the mountain in the distance. See a thick brush of trees just before the base of the mountain. Once past this, head further north over the hills and travel a short distance to the shoreline. You should see an outcropping ahead of you just off the shoreline. Head past that, and you should see an island just to the northeast. Make your way there. Wow. And all that in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Okay, so when we get to the start of this lake here, we're going to start the timer for 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Because here's our minute 23 across the lake, just at the start of this. I'm not going to call this the lake, I'm going to call it this shoreline here, because I don't think this is the lake that's intended. Because there's also, you can see that mountain in the distance, and I'm pretty sure is what they're talking about. I think it's That's that one there. Alright, so we are crossing the shoreline right about now, and there's a minute 23. Like, that's perfect timing. Okay, 3:35. Head across the lake. Make your way to its opposite shore. From here, make your way through the valley towards the mountains in the distance to the northwest. You should see a thick brush of trees just before the base of the mountain. Once past this, head further north over the hills and travel a short distance to the shoreline. Probably this bush of trees right here, maybe. So I might need to actually gain some height here. The first time I might need to actually go above 1500. Let's see if we can get 2000 enough to top this, because it says go north, which basically puts us like, it's like a 60-degree turn to the right, so it puts us right across there. Sacrifice some of our airspeed now for the altitude we need to get over this. Probably gonna need about 2,500 to top this safely. I think this peak is probably about 2,000. So let's go to about 2,500 to top it. Travel a short distance to the shoreline. I can see water already beyond this valley. So either here or here, and maybe that's what they want us to do, is get across kind of right there. And 2,000 feet actually will get us over this. I wasn't sure if 2,000 feet would do it, but 2,000 feet's going to do it. Drop back down once I get on the other side. Just keep the climb rate going long enough here. Yeah, I think this is kind of what they want us to do, is kind of cut in this valley right here by the looks of it. Alright, travel a short distance to the shoreline. You should see an outcropping ahead of you, just off the shoreline. Head past that, and you should see an island just to the northeast. Make your way there. Forest shoreline. Northeast to an island. I don't know if I buy northeast. I buy northwest, and this will be the third time that northeast and northwest got swapped. Now, just had a thought as well. Asobo is based in Paris, so probably French is spoken and used a lot in the studio. The words for east and west are est and ouest, which are only a couple letters different, so it would be very easy to have an error creep in there. So there's an outcropping. I don't see really, I mean, that's little tiny islands, but an island just off to the northeast. Like, I see this one off to the northwest. How are we doing time-wise now? 3:35. We should have already been there. See an outcropping ahead of you. Head past that, you should see an island just off. You should see an outcropping ahead of you, just off the shoreline. Head past that, and an island just to the northeast, and just northeast, and follow the channel ahead. So I don't... Okay, we're back down to 1,500, more or less. Okay, so we used too much time getting across those mountains. We probably actually did kill some time. See, I want to say this has got to be the island, because what else is there? But then, do I go northeast? Do I go northwest? What am I doing right now? I'm barely even doing northeast. Or do I go northwest? Oh no, go. Decisions. Okay, you should see an outcropping ahead of you, just off the shoreline. Head past that and an island to the northeast. You should see mountains outcropping on the eastern side of the channel. Make your way there. Oh, I don't know. Head to the bay beyond the outcropping. Do I have the bay to the channel? We're kind of getting close now, but I don't know. Do I go left or do I go right? Do I go left or do I go right? Ah, crud. Ah, crud. I can't really make up my mind. See, this one I think, just off the shoreline, head past that and an island to the northeast. And just northeast, follow the channel ahead. Eventually the channel bends, takes further northeast. You see the mountains outcropping on the east side of the channel. Make your way there. Okay, I hope I'm going the right way, because I don't have much faith right now. Because there have been three times that I think northeast was written when I think northwest was meant. So if they write northeast now, I don't know if I should believe them or not. We're going to go this way. Past that, an island just to the northeast, follow the channel ahead. So there's a rocky outcropping, there's kind of an island there. Just northeast, follow the channel ahead, eventually the channel bends and takes you further northeast. You'll see a mountainous outcropping on the eastern side of the channel, make your way there. Wow. We're back to this like, oh, so vague, and like, how about even right and left sometimes? Take the channel to the right, because I don't have much faith in these guys. I don't. There's been a couple of times where they've written northeast when they meant northwest, which was so evident by where we ended up. I wonder if this is the island though. Okay, so outcropping ahead. Head past that and an island just to the northeast. Just northeast, follow the channel ahead. Eventually the channel bends and takes you further northeast. Just the mountains outcropping on the east side of the channel. Make your way there. I'm beginning to think I'm lost again. I feel like we even came across that mountain pass. We came the right direction. I'm just not sure if we went the right way. If we're supposed to go west, northwest, or northeast. Oh, I guess we're going to find out in about 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes, when we either do or do not find an airport. That's not an outcropping. That's not an island. That's another outcropping. Oh, jeez. I don't think we went the right way. It does turn more to northeast. I don't see any islands, though. Unless it was that first island we passed. As the channel bends and takes you further northeast, you see a mountainous outcropping on the eastern side of the channel. Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the mountainous outcropping. It is pretty obvious. Head to the bay beyond the outcropping. Fly over the bay into another channel. Keep heading northeast and shoreline opposite, where you see a river cutting a path down between two mountains and into the channel. Maybe we're going the right way. I'm trying to convince myself. Am I doing a good job of it? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure at all if we're doing a good job here, but we're trying not to get lost. Oh my god, this is... Oh, look at those cliffs there. Where I think the end of the land class mapping does not match the end of the water, so that's supposed to probably just be water. Oh. This would definitely be about the right timing. 5:37? This would be about it. Head to the bay beyond the outcropping. Fly over the bay into another channel. Keep heading northeast, the shoreline opposite, where you should see a river cutting down a path between two mountains and into the channel. Maybe we are getting there. Maybe this is the rocky outcropping, because the timing is definitely about right. that a river that cuts down between two mountains there? Maybe. Alright, so this is the rocky outcropping. Yeah, because this timing is just about perfect. Okay, so head to the bay beyond the outcropping, fly over the bay and into another channel, keep heading northeast to the shoreline opposite, where you should see a river. Yeah, okay, that might be a river cutting a path down between two mountains and into the channel. Alright, so we're going over the rocky outcropping now. That timing was actually really good. So maybe we are going the right way. We are going to cross another channel. That's going to be good. Follow the shoreline and bends to the north. Make your way to the northernmost point, a forest outcropping. Adjust and head east. Make your way into the distance. Follow around. Okay. Puerto Natales. We're actually, I think we're getting pretty close now. So now we got 3, 7, 10, 14, 16 minutes to go here if we are on track. If we're on track, we got about 15, 16 minutes to go. So I think we're going to cook around the end of this. There's definitely a river that comes down there. Okay, I'd say we are on the right track again. Okay, I was beginning to get extremely concerned because I thought we'd made a wrong turn for sure. I really did. I love that we can do this whole thing at basically 1,500 feet. We had to climb 2,000 feet once to do this. But they managed to find a nearly sea level route through this. Not quite fully sea level. There were some smaller hills, but like I said, at 1,500 feet we can clear everything except for that one valley, that one pass we just went through. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is a long leg. Okay, we're currently running on the right tank. We're down to about 20 gallons a side now, so let's let it run the right side down another 2 or 3 gallons before we switch tanks again. Alright, so 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Yeah, so that's definitely a river cut into the channel. A cut between the two mountains and draining down into the channel. Turn north. Turn east. Alright, I would say we're definitely doing good here. Okay, I think we are on the right track here. I wonder if this connects to anywhere we've been before, because I feel like we are... This keeps on going for a while, so at some point it probably connects back to somewhere where we were before. Alright, that's definitely the river cut between the two mountains there, so let's just start bearing north now and just follow the shoreline, because we obviously I think we figured out where we're going. Rocky forest outcropping. Follow the shoreline, bend north, make your way to the northernmost point, a forest outcropping, adjust and head east. Make your way into the bay in the distance and follow it around north until you find a road running along the shoreline. Follow the road until it bridges a river running west. On the road, you get to Puerto Natales. A short distance northeast of Puerto Natales, further along the shoreline is Puerto Natales Airport. You can land here. Ooh, a paved strip and everything. Alright. Yeah, there's the the river carved down between two mountains. That's perfect. So past the beam it, we'll give it another 3 minutes and 49 seconds to cut through the forest outcropping. Oh my god, that's just... The scenery is spectacular. The challenge is great, but oh my god, the second guessing myself as we were coming up that valley, I was really thinking I'd gone the wrong way for a good couple of minutes. I couldn't tell the difference. Both of them looked like they could have met the criteria. Alright. Definitely some more wide open spaces down here. Alright, so that's the northernmost point there, because we are pretty much facing due north at this point here. Due north, give or take, but pretty much almost due north. So that's the point we're going to right there. And then at that point we hook to the east, make your way around the bay, look for the road, and follow it until you get to Rio Hollenberg. And continue along the road. The road will eventually lead you to the city of Puerto Natales, which is where we're stopping. Oh my god, wow, this has been, wow. One hell of a... One hell of a tour today, though. And what a long way we've gone just for this one leg, 106 miles. I think this is the longest single leg on this particular bush trip. But I'm definitely going to pull the plug when we get to Puerto Natales. That's going to be our flight for the night. Hit that forest outcropping, and I may not even go all the way to the forest outcropping. I may start cutting the corners here just to sort of get this leg over and done with. We're getting some downdraft off this mountain here. Make your way to the bay in the distance just and head east, around north. You find a road. So I'm going to go all the way to the rocky outcropping. I think that's going to take me this way. Now I held it up too long as we got away from the downdraft there, and we gained some altitude. Make your way to the bay in the distance. Alright, so head east, make your way to the bay in the distance, follow it around north until you find a road running along the shoreline. Alright, so the northernmost point here. Then if we turn directly east, I think that's not going to put us over this bay. I think it's going to put us over this bay. Let's just fly to that point and be sure. Certainly timing-wise, it's putting us in the right spot. Follow it around. All the roads will bridge. Running west. Puerto Natales, I still don't see anything that looks like a city yet. We got about 15 miles still to go. Actually, 21 miles still to go, so. Yeah, so if we turn due east now, it's going to take us this way. Alright, so let's do that. Let's start to turn east. Follow the road. Make your way, follow it around the north until you find a road running along the shoreline. So eventually we're going to catch a road running along the shoreline, follow the road until it bridges the river running west. Another 9 miles into the city of Puerto Natales. So I'm not sure, so we're going to follow it along the shoreline. I'm not sure if it's going to cut across the shoreline or what it's going to do here. Pass through the mountain range though, like yeah, there are still mountains to the north actually. To the east there's not much, it looks pretty flat to the east now. Yeah, so this is east, so this is definitely the bay we're following. Just follow this bay until we pick up a road. And eventually it's going to cross a river in 3 minutes, well 2 minutes from now. Wow. This is an epically long leg though for a bush trip. Fortunately, I feel vindicated that we're back on track again. Alright. I see some stuff along the shoreline there. I don't know if that's where the road starts. I think I see some stuff in the distance there. I'm just gonna start angling along the shoreline here. It looks like the road actually might start right here. If that could be called a road. It's more like a dirt track at this point, but looks like there's something that starts there. Kind of runs around the corner there. Looks like there's some actual possible industrial activity up here at our 12 o'clock. I wonder if that's Puerto Natales over there on the right. Almost straight ahead right now. Let's see if we can't find the road that's running along this shoreline. Once we found that road, that's going to lead us to the city of Puerto Natales. We'll be on our way. Boy. But ironically, this bush trip is leaving me bushed. Okay, yeah, definitely here's the road that comes down off the... comes down off the roads there and follows the shoreline. And there's a river right there, which would put it right at about 3 minutes and 1 second, so that's perfect. And then we've just got to follow this road. There it goes. Alright guys, I apologize for that. It was midnight and it's apparently time for my router's daily reboot. So, nope, the stream should be back working again now. Now, of course, I've lost some of my online data, so now it's going to try and restream some of this data, but now it's got absolutely horrible looking. I try not to ever stream through midnight for this reason, because this is the one thing, and I can't figure out if there's a setting anywhere possible to adjust this. I've never been able to find this in my router. If there's a point where I can readjust. But it seems like every night at midnight, the router just takes 20 seconds and resets itself, which is fine. But I just wish that there was a way that I could schedule it for a different time, like 3 in the morning instead of midnight, because this happens all the time when I'm flying, because I often will fly through midnight. I'll often still be awake at midnight, and this is exactly what happens. And now I'm losing all the fidelity of my scenery here. It says it's reconnected now, and Microsoft Flight Simulator said the same thing, but I might even just give it one of these here, because I tend to have to do this on the stroke of midnight. Well, it is exactly. Data. So let's go ahead and put that back on, because if it goes off, it never comes back on its own. The rest of the sim will reconnect, but this will not reconnect. Oh, that's a little mind-blowing to suddenly be not flying anymore, because I've been staring out the window at the scenery going by for 3 hours now. All right, let's go back and finish this. There we go. That's more like what it's supposed to look like. Thank you. All right, so follow this road for 4 minutes and 41 seconds. So another 2 minutes 20. That should take us to the city of Puerto Natales, and we're going to land at the airport on the other side of Puerto Natales, and we'll be there. It's been tiring. It's been a lot of work. I didn't actually get lost yet, but there was at least like 4 different times where I was like questioning whether I was lost. And I swear there's a couple of mistakes in this, in the nav logs in this bush trip. And sometimes when they say northeast and they mean northwest, which is kind of, unfortunately, really is made me start to question everything. It's made me question everything. It's made me question whether every time I see the word northwest or the northeast, I wonder if they meant northwest. And I was thinking about this, like the difference between the word east and west in French is even more similar, I think, than it is in English almost. So I wonder if there was a mistranslation at some point. You know, maybe just a case of voice dictation or something, as the person who was designing this bush trip was jotting down notes that then got mistranslated. I've definitely had challenges with them, and there was one point for sure. You go back about 30 minutes ago. This must be Puerto Natales up there. 30 minutes ago, where I thought for sure, I didn't think for sure I was lost, but I was like, I was up against like a real just 50-50 choice. It's like, go northeast or you go northwest. 2 channels, northeast or northwest. It says go northeast, but like 3 times in this bush trip where it said go northeast, it actually meant go northwest. And I've seen the landmark that they're talking about, and I've gone to it, but it's like, that's not northeast, that's northwest. So it really kind of shook my faith. in them. So yeah, it's a real challenge. But like you'll see, like I am trying not to do it with any of the data. There's data here. I haven't even looked at that data there. But I've removed my moving map. I'm just using the nav log. It's not easy though. I will 100% agree. These are really challenging, and that's part of the beauty of it. I think is just the challenge. I want to be able to prove that we can do this. All right, so this is obviously the city of Puerto Natales, a short distance northeast again of Puerto Natales. Oh, is that it? It's Puerto Natales Airport. You can land here. Is this it, or is this not it? No, I don't think that's it, because I think it looks like this. It looks like it's past Puerto Natales. So here's Puerto Natales sticking out, so you go past here, and it's kind of... It might be right here. This is just a road. That's definitely not it. But we're going to start kind of easing down. Ease off the power a little bit, just start putting the nose down a little bit so we're not caught high when we get there. Have you done any bush trips in real life? No, I have not. And I was just thinking that as we're kind of sailing along here, like this trip, this Patagonia trip would be absolutely epic if you could go somewhere, you know, like as a guided trip with somebody who obviously knows the terrain, but you know, land at these various backcountry airports, camp out, have lunch at one airport, move on, have dinner at another one, find a place to sleep for the night. That would be phenomenal. I think that would be super fun. That's something I would love to do. I know some friends that did that. There's places in the U.S. that will absolutely set you up with that will hook you up with backcountry camping. They'll give you some training in an airplane or put you with somebody, and just these little fly-in, fly-out camps that you can't get to any other way. Okay, so yeah, so see how the road here arcs away from the shoreline and it splits, and in between the split should be the runway, if this is the right road here. So I think we're on the right track. I think it's right here. See, it swings, the right fork swings and then swings back. So the right fork swings and swings back. This has got to be it right there. I think it would be tons of fun, and what a great way to kind of use an airplane and just really go back to basics of flying too, like you know, just bombing up and down canyons, visiting places that nobody else can visit because they're just inaccessible unless you can land on like a sandbar on the side of a river, you know, or a gravel beach or whatever. Like, oh, just be absolutely fantastic. I'd love to do it. I mean, I think price-wise, I think it's completely outside the realm of possibility right now, but maybe one day. It's certainly, I have so many things I've kind of put on my bucket list that I would love to do one day. All right, we are obviously closer to the airport than I realized. Let's get the carb heat on too before we lose all that heat.
500.
Let's see if we can get this back under the flap speed. We are a little high, but this thing will sink pretty well once we get the flaps out. All right, so let's get the flaps out. There we go. There's first notch of flaps. Still high. Second notch of flaps. Oh, she sinks now. Boy, you need a hell of a lot of retrimming once you put the flaps out on this thing here. Alright, there's full flaps. Go figure, now she's getting turbulent for the first time all day. I'm thinking just a little bit too fast here. And I really don't know what the appropriate speeds are for the X-Cup, but 55 seems to be a pretty nice approach speed if you want to do a pretty short field landing. It puts you right in the middle of the flap range. The only problem with becoming a jet jockey is on landing you learn to release the controls, because the spoilers kick in and will keep your wings level. You don't need to fly the wing onto the runway. But in a small airplane, I'm realizing that some of my problems are just stem from years of being a jet jockey. And not bad habits, good habits in a jet, but bad habits when you're flying a GA airplane. And one of them is not flying the airplane all the way down to a stop on the runway. You basically plunk an airliner on the runway, and as long as you get the wheels on there, especially in the Airbus, release the controls. The spoilers are going to kill all the lift on the wings anyways, and really kind of plunk you onto the gear with very little lift to kind of keep the gear light and keep you off the gear. But you fly an airplane like this that is just all wing and very light. You've got to keep flying that wing all the way down. There's no spoilers destroying the lift as soon as you touch the ground, so you got to keep flying that wing until it slows down. And I think that's been part of my problem as well. Is I'm so used to just sort of like, okay, touchdown, hands off the controls, let go of everything, just brakes and reverse thrust, and that's it. And that's not how you fly. It's not how you fly a GA airplane. You fly it until you basically have stopped moving. And I stopped, but it's over. Anyways, it's done. But there we go. We made it leg number. What was that? That was leg number 7, I think. But that's it. That's it. We are done for today. Because wow, that's been 3 hours. Can I go back to? I'm going to press continue because I just want to make sure that does, load the next one. All right, and go back. But there we go. So that's it. That's all we're doing for today because I am Bush. But 50% complete. 7 out of 14 legs done, and that was the long one. I think that was the longest one. 165 miles after this. Yeah, but that was a long way to go. Next one we're doing is also a pretty long one to start, but then they start to get to be short legs after that. So I don't think we'll finish this in a third stream. Yeah, but I think that's all I'm going to do for now because, yeah, I am a bit beaten that last leg. Oh my God, that was an hour and 26 minutes of flying. That was a lot of flying. It was good fun. It's totally fun and totally worth it. But boy, flying takes more out of you than you think. Even flying the sim, when you're really focused on flying, maintaining altitude, trying to navigate, do all these things. And I wasn't even worried about like communication and things like that. Just trying to do the basics of fly the airplane and navigate. That's a lot of mental workload. I'm not used to that. So anyways, that's enough for me for tonight. Hopefully next week. And I don't even know for sure because next week's a pretty busy week for me, but hopefully next week I'll find some time to get in. The next couple legs, 8, 9, maybe 10. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish 11, 12, 13, 14, but we'll try to do at least legs 8 and 9, 2 more long legs, and then we'll knock off the last bunch of short legs in one more stream. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you all on the stream very soon. And yeah, if I don't catch you out there in the VATSIMS, guys, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you guys all real soon. Take care, everybody.